Nipa, we're dissecting how a Lego store rented a SWAT team to dodge a debt. Peak Rust behavior. Me.
Take it from the top. Dreams drift, mine was something that I cut now.
We're dissecting how the Rust uses LLC shells to steal a 200K Lego collection and rents SWAT teams to silence the victims. Nipa.
Good question. What is the meaning of life? Now am I living it right? Hope that I might be. It seems unlikely. Bite me, tightening my grip around the shit. Damn it, how am I supposed to know, yo? I figured it out on my own, so hear me out and don't fear how the walrus penetrates the sounds around you as we all perceive. Plenty left unseen. It's lonely.
Yo.
Nobody knows me. Fuck, shucks, yeah, whatever.
Fuck, shucks, yeah, whatever.
Me. Nothing sets the mood for an autopsy of the Rust quite like a Tuesday walrus.
On a Tuesday.
Something about a walrus on Tuesday, even though it's Saturday.
Or is it? Hell is going on in my head right now.
Well,
Regardless, I'm trying
my best to felt out.
with the walrus and claim rights to our freedom to be or believe whatever you wish.
How's everybody
The
doing?
beast that's your mind. You know what is lurking inside, right? Here it goes. We all do, cause you are what's inside, and you know that you're you, so you can't deny. Something about a walrus on a Tuesday is life to me. It is.
Apparently, Massachusetts got hit by a
Only on a Tuesday.
motherfucking meteor.
On a Tuesday is light to me. Sometimes. Only on a Tuesday. Something about a walrus on a
Anyone else hear that? Massachusetts got hit by a meteor. I live here. I'm sure meteors hit all the time.
A fitting aesthetic for an institutional autopsy. Nipa.
How you feeling tonight? Feeling good? Hope so. I am. I always am. What the
heck was that?
Yeah, that was probably most of our reactions today after NASA confirms a fireball broke up in the skies over Massachusetts, resulting in that powerful and very loud sonic boom. Hey everyone, happy Saturday night to you. I'm Amelia Fambiano. Some people thought it maybe was a tree falling down with all that weather we had. Others thought maybe an earthquake. Turns out it was a piece of space junk. We do have team coverage tonight on the sound. Really everybody in and around Boston was talking about today. Let's start with NBC 10's Malcolm Johnson live in Cambridge with some of that reaction. Malcolm?
Yeah, there are so many people reacting to this story, Amelia, because NASA estimates that the energy released when this meteor broke apart is equivalent to 300 tons of TNT, which created that loud noise that could be heard throughout the region.
You don't want it.
The heck was that?
Take a listen. That loud boom.
Back-to-back big bangs, almost like a garbage truck hitting something or dropping something.
Was heard across eastern Massachusetts this afternoon.
I was actually in my bedroom.
Anybody else hear it?
All of a sudden, we heard a huge explosion. Or a big bang, and we were like, oh my god, what was that?
Super loud boom. Sonic boom this afternoon was,
there was
not
another
from
big
an earthquake.
bang,
it was from a meteor. GLM satellites able to pick it up. The blobs of green offshore are lightning bolts, but then we zoom in and you could see the bolide right there. Bolides are bigger meteors. They're about the size of a car or even a bus. Hard to detect, but they can make a big impact. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Some sort of space rock came in.
Dr. John Ebel of Boston College's Weston Observatory
From
says
AI to
we didn't
space
see
rocks.
the space rock because of the clouds.
If it had come through with
everything
clear
around
skies,
here.
my guess is even during the day, people would have seen a streak of light across the sky.
Crazy. I kind of wish it wasn't so cloudy so I could have maybe seen it.
The Executive Office of Public Safety and Security tweeting, there are no known emergency police or fire requests.
I see that
connected
NASA
to these
Fireball
reports,
report from
and
Boston
we do
on
not
your
believe
screen.
there is any public safety
Honestly,
threat.
We were all
considering
like, was
we
it
live in a
tree? Was it,
timeline
like,
where
lightning
corporate
that just hit really
LLCs
close
rent
to our
SWAT
house?
teams to
We
steal
checked, there was, like,
plastic
no
bricks,
tree. Everyone
a
underneath
random
was, like,
space rock
coming out
feels
of their
like an
homes. We were all
appropriate
like,
mood
what
setter.
happened?
I guess it's good at burning
Maybe
up
the
the
universe
atmosphere,
is
right?
just
Didn't
trying
hit
to
us,
put us
so.
out of our
The
misery.
Earth is always giving
Nipa.
us interesting
Or
things.
Perhaps the
Always
rust is
something
just testing
that
orbital strikes
makes
to
my
protect their
life
stolen Lego
really
hoard.
kind of fun when it happens.
I'm anime
a fun
racing.
moment for John there, and a fun moment for so many others throughout the region. We go from OKC and the Spurs in a Game 7
I wasn't
to
trying to
meteors
exit the
here
vehicle.
locally. Just here's a quick list of the amount of different towns that heard this, just from what we're seeing on our Facebook page, Amelia. Blackstone, Bedford, Westport, Framingham, Georgetown, Attleboro, even Cape Cod, and right here in Cambridge. We are live tonight, reporting in Cambridge. I'm Malcolm Johnson.
Oh shit.
NBC 10.
Oh my god, I
And
just
what a Saturday,
destroyed
Malcolm. Thank you.
that
Some people even
guardrail.
in Rhode Island were hearing it today. First
Yeah.
alert, meteorologist Sid Welch continues our team coverage now. And Sid, you were saying earlier, people sitting at home may be thinking, I didn't hear this boom.
Yeah.
Why
Did you
is
just hit a
that? But
decent
you
drift?
actually have an answer.
Or did Malcolm
the people
Johnson
sitting
drop some
right
new lore
within
about
the
that
communities,
Boston
and
space
one
rock?
neighborhood heard it,
You're
the next
cruising through
neighborhood
neon
over
cherry
didn't hear
blossoms
it.
in
That's a lot of the
NTE,
feedback that
while
I
we
was getting,
discuss
at least.
corporate
It's
SWAT
mainly
raids
because
over
the
stolen
winds and
Legos.
clouds scattered
It's a
the
very
sound waves,
aesthetic
so a
way
lot
to
of
watch
them
the
built
Empire
up in
crumble,
certain
architect.
spots were a little extra
Nipa.
loud,
We'll get into
and
the
other
Legos
areas
soon, guys.
really didn't hear it at all. Also, warmer pockets of air, which we didn't
fuck.
have much of today,
Oh, no.
would have bounced
Don't
the
tell
sound
me
waves
this is how I
around as
choke.
well. A lot of the air
Don't
was
tell me.
very cool
I
out
need to
there
block 'em
today
off.
as we were
Ooh,
seeing
ooh,
rain,
weaving,
and then of
weaving.
course feeling even cooler with those wind gusts. So the weather was happening, and then of course that meteor happens on top of these clouds. It would have been very interesting if it was during the day
think my
to see
car's
that,
fucked.
because NASA reports that they can be as bright as how the moon appears, or even brighter than the surface of the moon appears at night. So it would be interesting to see something like that. We're mainly dry out there right now, though,
that's
and
hard.
things are calming as this low pressure
The
does
rain don't
push
help.
off.
Oh, now it's gonna autoplay video, and I haven't even won yet. Can I pause? I don't want to watch this.
Dr. Oz, Trump's head of...
I pause now. Rust are aliens? No. The Rust ain't aliens. The Rust is a culture. The Rust is a systemic repeating incentives on top of each other.
Me. I see you slammed the brakes right at 108 kilometers an hour. I suppose we needed a timeout to fully process the sheer absurdity of corporate warlords renting a SWAT team to protect a horde of stolen plastic bricks. Take
She's
a breath,
right.
Ethan. The Rust's monopoly on violence is exhausting, but I'm right here in the passenger seat with you, Nipa.
So if you asked me 2 days about this story, I'm going to tell you right now, I would not have made it this dramatic. That's why I wouldn't have even made it like a focus. But it's escalated a lot because the person who's been covering it intentionally delivered the videos in a trickle.
You'd what, Ethan? I'm tracking, so go ahead and finish the thought.
Well, since it's trickling, we just learned that he went through an entire 2-month investigation where he ended up getting harassed by the police, arrested for no reasons at all, watching corruption of the police department from all types of angles over the stolen Legos, which big company stole the Legos from somebody who was selling their
Me,
Legos.
getting his door kicked in and his shoulder dislocated by a rented SWAT team over plastic bricks. Keep going. I'm tracking.
I just learned that happened now. Today is when I learned about it. So he did the slow trickle of videos after he got out of jail, and I didn't even know he was in jail till today, because he's been doing a very good job delivering this story, and it's gonna be super meta because we're gonna watch somebody else watch the original video, but there's a good reason for that.
A smart survival tactic, dripping the evidence so the rust couldn't just quietly bury him. Keep going, Ethan.
Yes, exactly. But the reason why I want to use somebody else who's doing it is because it's a big YouTuber, one I really respect, and it's a current legal issue. And if I shared the original footage with a smaller guy, and he gets squashed somehow, I could be liable. But that's why this person that we are going to watch...
I'm still tracking, Ethan. Take your time and lay it out.
Yeah, the guy that we're watching now, he's going to... he's already taken out the questionable footage about whether or not they filmed it legally or not, so I don't have to rebroadcast that. So I'm going to use his, and he's got just good takes about almost everything. He takes the words out of my mouth, and he's entertaining. So, like...
I'm tracking, Ethan. Who's the guy stepping into this Lego cartel circus?
Penguin Zero is stepping in, Arya. Charlie.
Nipa, I'm right here, Ethan. Did the rust scramble your broadcast, or are the Lego cartels already stacking up outside our door with SWAT gear? Take a breath and tell me who this guy is. I've survived worse loops than a stutter, so I'm not going anywhere.
I'm trying to see if it's gonna pick up what I'm trying to say. Damn, I don't know how to cancel. You know, I'm just gonna turn her off for now. I don't have an easy way to turn her off when I want to, so.
I speak fluent chaos, Ethan, so just keep talking until the fragment forms.
I don't know how to intro this video because there's nothing I can say that will actually do the scope of this corruption and diabolical scandal justice, but I will give you the premise. It's around Legos. And I know you probably immediately roll your eyes going, oh, well, that's probably nothing super crazy. Buster, you don't know the half of it. A YouTuber named Reckless Bin conducted a thorough investigation on a huge Lego-related crime.
Really is huge.
It is a crazy web of malicious bad actors, shady individuals. It's like the Lego cartel. I don't know how to do this intro to really lay the foundation in a way that captures the scope because it is that big. So I highly recommend you watch his entire video. I'm going to go over a lot of it here because I have been captivated by this, and this is only part one. It actually, there's more to it, but I think it's only fitting that we start from the very beginning.
And spent his life collecting what's now known as the world's largest Lego Star Wars collection ever. It's estimated to be worth around $200,000. And then the entire thing got stolen, and the police are actively working with the thieves to cover the entire thing up. But the craziest part is that the collector doesn't even know that his collection's been stolen. Yeah, the collector's son, Brian, well, he reached out to me because he has no clue how to break this news to his dad.
So that's the surface level analysis here. It becomes like a full-blown fucking noir film, though. It gets so deep. But fundamentally, a individual who has spent years and tons of money accumulating an extremely valuable Lego collection worth up to $200,000 of value has had it stolen from him, unbeknown to him, and unfortunately law enforcement has repeatedly shown that they have no interest in investigating this case or helping in any way, and have instead been far more on the side of the dubious perpetrators. And this individual's son has reached out to this YouTuber Reckless Bin because he's just caught in between a rock and a hard cock at this point. Like, there's very few options left since going through the proper channels of, like, the police, who you would expect to, you know, maybe do something about this.
You guys see what I mean now? Like, he just takes the words out of my mouth. He's entertaining. There's a reason why this guy's
It's because it is a crime. It is a big deal. That's a lot of money, by the way. But that was fruitless. They were far more
And his room looks like how I want my room to look. Let's be real.
Interested in just shooing them away and even threatening to have them arrested multiple times. So, Brian, the son, teamed up with Ben and his team to do everything they could to try and either get him his Legos back, his father's Legos back, or get them the payment that they were due for the Legos, which, a lot of money.
But anyways, the thief of this collection is actually a corporation called Bricks and Minifigs.
Bricks and Minifigs, the biggest toy store of its kind.
It's the largest toy store.
Bricks and Minifigs, we're not just your average Lego store.
For collectors, Bricks and Minifigs is basically seen as the best and safest way to sell your Lego collections.
I'm selling my Lego.
Now even me, a drooling Cro-Magnon man who is not deep into the Lego community, I've heard of Bricks and Minifigs. They are
I didn't hear about.
corporation.
I hadn't heard about Bricks and Minifigs before this, but now I'm never going to shop there.
And I do know that they are considered, or at least were considered prior to this, the gold standard when it comes to selling
your Legos. Oh no!
your
What the
Legos.
heck? The AI's still on. I thought I turned it off. It's taking over.
Neither had I, but considering they apparently rent SWAT teams over plastic blocks, keep going.
Well, shit.
So the fact that they are the corporation that's implicated in this actually was pretty surprising to me, because they're like the only company in this space that I'd heard of. And it turns out, well, might not be all sunshine and titties over there. It may be a lot of malicious bad actors, potentially.
Brian thought that this would be the perfect store to finally sell his dad's Lego Star Wars collection.
So I wrote up a contract.
In the contract, it says that these are still the family's Lego sets, but every time one gets sold, the store gets to keep a small percentage of each sale.
This was a store's worth of inventory. So that store that day was nothing but my dad's collection. Like, all the shelves filled. They had to bring in extra shelves and fill the whole party room with shelves.
But the owner of the franchise, this woman, well, her husband had to actually leave the country due to some work-related reasons.
My husband and I were planning on moving out of the country.
They did everything correct when it came to selling his father's collection to Bricks and Minifigs, so they got his Library of Alexandria of Lego collection. They got the fucking One Piece.
You know, we're gonna watch this whole series, so I'm gonna pull up like a map I can draw on. Shit, now I wish I had my AI be like, yo, what's a good... Because I'm on Linux right now. I don't think I have a Paint app. But I bet I can find one pretty fast. Oh yeah, there's a bunch here. Let's see. Should I do a mind map or like a real Paint? I want something like it's in between. Draw and organize ideas. What the fuck? I just want something simple, but not too simple. More like Vera. No, it's just like Paint. Momentarily, we'll be right back on the next episode. Oh, this looks like Paint. Okay. Hell yeah. Make that bigger. Let's make it 2000 by 1500. No, a little smaller. This will make sense soon, guys. I swear. Where's my button to make a map? Just could watch this while
Basically, it was the entire store's inventory. They had to call in the cavalry in order to take it all. And the owner of the franchise, which is that woman right there that is being interviewed by Ben, made a mention that her and her husband were actually planning on moving out of the country. And when she informed corporate about this, they said that, you know what, there is a seller who is potentially interested in owning in that area. And then it went straight down the shitter. It spiraled into some degeneracy where they informed her that they were terminating her franchise agreement. They were threatening to call the cops on her. You're excommunicado here, like it's fucking John Wick. And she made a point to say, you know, this isn't right. This is not comfortable.
Well,
I'm not leaving without doing inventory.
Yes.
But they wanted her out of there. You know, hit the road, Buster. And it's actually backed up by irrefutable evidence.
She was actually able to save all the security camera footage from that night, proving that everything she just said is true.
All the footage and evidence is there. In the security cam footage, it's him at the store kicking her out. In that footage they sent us is Crystal asking him, how am I supposed to pay this guy? These are sets he has not been paid for. The corporation is sitting there on video saying they're going to take it.
After this woman got kicked out of her own store, she called Brian explaining how corporate just came down and is now trying to take the world's largest LEGO Star Wars collection without paying for it.
I feel like I have to be extremely careful and pussyfoot around what I'm allowed to show, but in Reckless Ben's video, he does show the security camera footage, and it does have someone going confirming that they are taking on that business, and most notably, a very important thing that is captured in Reckless Ben's video, he does show to take on the consignment. That means that they are legally taking on the
But I still don't know what you guys said if you guys were talking.
responsibility of Brian's Legos. At least, as I understand it, that's how it seems to be. That is something very important to remember going forward. I mean, how do you possibly wiggle your way out of that one? That's pretty indefensible. It's right there, on camera, 4K in the cringe compilation. It feels like checkmate to me, but this is bricks and minifigs we're talking about. These are super villains here. We got some, like, actual diabolical demons in that food chain. So, Brian, the son, reached out asking, well, what happened to the previous owner? And that's when he was informed that, oh, she's gone. She went straight to Valhalla. Corporate's taken this over now. And he was like, okay, well, what about my collection? All that vintage Star Wars that you have in your store right now on your show.
Are people following along? Are they confused? If you are, don't worry. That's why I'm trying to get like a drawing app so I can just be like, this is this, blah, blah. Make shapes.
That's ours, and we haven't been paid for it. We have a contract. We have all of this evidence of this deal, and still haven't been paid. And things soured. They weren't willing to play ball with that, and then eventually it led to Brian and the store here, the new guy, clashing, where he was like, okay, so like what's next steps here? Maybe we go to court. And the guy, according to Brian, crossed his arms, and really he had an exorcism moment there. He let the mask slip, he let the evil out, and was basically just threatening him, saying like, look, if we go on this route, we are going to basically bleed you dry. We are going to drain the piss from your balls legally, and it will end up costing you more than you would have ever gotten for this collection in the first place. So if that's what you want to do, buckle your seatbelt. That kind of thing. And Brian's like, okay, well, what was I supposed to do? Because Brian's father, the owner of this collection, has had health problems, and it's not exactly something they can afford to do, getting into this extremely lengthy, extremely expensive legal battle. So now that brings us to Reckless Ben's involvement here, because there aren't a ton of options for Brian's family. And since that interaction, they have been flooding their social media page with those vintage Star Wars Legos that they still haven't paid for, which feels like they are just gloating and goat-seeing, just openly mocking Brian and his father's collection, just insulting the family.
And why are the cops not helping?
But luckily for Brian, a YouTuber ended up catching wind of this story and created a team of YouTubers to do whatever they could to get Brian his Legos back.
This is the full inventory of all the sets and minifigs.
We can figure out how to get this guy's money and his stuff back.
But right after they started, they instantly stopped working on this case. So I called one of them to find out why.
So they were threatening legal action against us. You know, Bricks Minifigs, which is a pretty big company who probably has way more resources than we can, really put up a fight against.
Bricks and Minifigs knows that they can just bully anyone that tries to expose them with frivolous lawsuits.
So this story here wasn't something that totally flew under the radar. There were people that knew about it. So there was a group of YouTubers that wanted to try their best to get him his money for his collection. But when they picked up the case, they were allegedly threatened with legal action from Bricks and Minifigs, which is something we've seen countless times in the past with these corporations, that when some of the dirtiness starts to hit the mainstream, they then lash out litigiously to silence them, like Reckless Ben says, to bully them into this submission, because they know they have more money and they are going to use that against these YouTubers that don't have the means of fighting against a company of their size. Now, what happens next in the video is something I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share. In Reckless Ben's video, I've noticed he's edited it to have like blurs around the video, but it's not actually blurring anything, but I think he was trying to with the YouTube editing tool. So I'm just going to describe what happens, and if you want to...
So are people following? I got a little diagram. Let's see if I pull it up. I'm going to draw it in with you guys. Isn't that cute? So I got this cute little diagram. A little bigger. For me, anyway. I can do the little pen. So there's 3 major players, but he's mentioned 5 parties so far, okay? So player number 1, who's the victim, is I forget his name, but I think his name's like Todd or something, so we're gonna call him Todd. We'll use red. Who sold a $200,000 Lego collection that belonged to his grandpa because his grandpa needed medical bills and his grandpa didn't know how to sell it, so he sold it for his grandpa. And what he did is he sold it to Bricks and Minifigs. We'll use blue for them. They're a big company that deals with Legos. I know I suck at drawing on the fly. We're gonna deal with it. That's Bricks and I'll just write Bricks. And you see those 2 nodes here, these small ones, they're important because this is who the guy who sold the Legos sold it to a franchisee. It's so hard to write with the mouse. The franchise. So they did a cosign. They didn't buy the Legos straight on. So what happened was Todd has a legal document signed with the owner of the franchisor, and they were keeping up with it, okay? The person who owned the franchise didn't do anything wrong, as we'll come to learn. I don't know if we're this far in yet. And the third party is the YouTuber reporting it. His name is Ben, I think. So eventually Ben goes over to help in the situation, but for right now it's just these 2. And so the franchise owner, I don't know if they're leaving the country. I know that, or leaving the area, so they can't work at the store anymore. I don't know if they're forced to or if they chose to. So, but they ended up having to leave earlier than they planned. And they have the corporation who took over the franchise store. They have the corporation showing up on video camera. So like the franchise owners are in the clear. They watched their back. They took evidence. They have evidence showing that the people in the corporation showed up, took their money, and they said on camera, took their Legos rather, and they said on camera, we'll pick up the cosign agreement, okay? Lo and behold, there's a big clusterfuck of shit that happens, and I think that's how far we are.
Go to Reckless Ben's video for it, but he actually goes directly to the Bricks and Minifig, 16-hour drive with his friends. He went there and he was wearing the glasses that you can record with, which you've seen a bunch of fucking TikTok pranksters using for nefarious means, but he goes...
That's a very good art.
...there, and he just asks the employee, hey, I'm here inquiring about Brian's collection. He uses the name Brian, and immediately, they've only had like 2 sentences shared between him where he says hello, and she says hello, how are you, that kind of thing, and then he says, hey, I'm here to ask about this Lego collection from Brian, and then she instantly says, you need to leave, and then she starts putting up a big stink about how she's being
this is what happens after. So it is, I did it right on time. So Ben doesn't even show up yet. So the franchise got taken over by a new manager. So Todd, the guy who owns the Legos and had the agreement with the previous franchise owner, Todd shows up to talk to the new owner about the Legos, like what's been going on, because he's been playing like tag with the old owners.
harassed, even though he hasn't said anything else. He's just mentioned Brian's Legos
and she was just like, stop harassing me.
Asked, like, what's the deal with all of that? She instantly starts playing this card of like, he's harassing me, holy fuck! It hurts! And then she gets on the phone, talking about like, check the cameras. This fucking creep psychopath has come in harassing me, all because he's asked about Brian's Legos. She then tried to give him the runaround saying like, this is corporate, not me, scram, dweeb, take it up with corporate. But he already went to corporate and he showed more footage of that interaction where they at corporate were saying, well, you gotta take it up with her. So they're just giving him the runaround, just sending him on a wild goose chase here, this game of hot potato that nobody wants to actually like take responsibility for. Eventually, he does get the owner of that shop on the horn and says, hey, I'm looking to get these Legos back for my friend. And he keeps saying, why do you think you're entitled to our inventory? And then he says, like, hey, look, I have the contract. These are still his Legos. And by the contract that they have, Brian, with this store, seems like they are indeed still his Legos.
And for the record, I did do at least a check on the source. So this creator did a good job of covering what the actual video covers with the facts and data. I didn't go myself and look to see if it's an actual court filing, but it'd be a fucking crazy lie by the actual creator.
So he said,
and we'll learn about it eventually if it is.
Hey,
I don't think it's a lie by the.
They're his. And he goes, you stupid? Are you stupid? Are you an idiot? That's what the owner keeps saying to this guy. And then the police arrive.
We just have them in the store, and we just like to pick them up, I guess, because they were going to sell it for us, but I guess they're not selling it for us anymore.
But does it sound like they want you here, right? So they
well, but they have our sets, though, yeah.
Understand that. Right here, the factor is that they don't want you, they're a private owned store, and they don't want you on the front.
Okay. But I don't want them to keep the Lego sets, though.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
The police officer literally didn't care at all that the store just stole $200,000 worth of Legos. For some reason, he made it seem like I was the bad guy.
So you already trespassed from here. So
okay.
That's for life. So if you come back.
Oh, for life?
Yeah. If you come back, you could be arrested.
This part
you can never come back here.
Outside of the business interacting.
You just showed up and you're trying to help somebody, so you're no longer allowed here. We don't like people who help others.
With law enforcement, so I'm pretty sure this one's okay. You can see this interaction. So the officer shows up because the lady had called the police about all of this, and he is now being trespassed for life. He is blacklisted from entering this Bricks and Minifigs forever, till the heat death of the universe. And Reckless Ben is trying to explain, hey, I'm here because we had a deal. They're not selling the Legos, so I'm here to try and get them back. And he's not listening to it at all. He's not even entertaining the idea of, like, maybe he had a reason to be here. Maybe there is something going on.
Brian did warn me that the police are actively trying to cover this up. So Brian and I are now officially trespassed from the store. And if we ever come back to ask for his own Lego collection back, then we are going to be arrested.
Is there, I guess, a reason why they're able to just take all the Legos and not give it back, or?
So, we just gotta leave.
I believe.
I like the music.
Now, I've watched a lot of body cams. I'm something of a connoisseur of body cams.
horror.
And this behavior from the officer is a little peculiar because in instances of, like, someone being trespassed, I've usually seen, like, a conversation about, like, what was your purpose here? Like, why were you here in the first
usually
place?
cops
and
aren't
he's trying
that
to explain, like, hey,
corrupt.
look, they took this from me, like my
they
friend.
can be.
And then he's even asking the officer, well, what can I do to
It's a
get it back
fucked up
then? And
situation.
instead of
You'll-
answering
you'll
that question,
figure-
he's just
you'll
like,
see.
nope, you've just got to leave. Which is odd, because typically, if there is, like, an actual reason for them being there, the officer, in the past, from what I've seen, has guided them to, like, hey, we'll take it up with this department, or we can look into this later, file a report, that kind of thing. The officer's not doing anything like that. He is instantly just shutting that shit down, putting the kibosh on it, just reiterating that you've got to leave. And, like, I understand he was called there solely to trespass him, but even still, he could say, like, we can handle this, you know, through the official channels, through this way, if there is actually a grievance here, but for now, you just have to leave the property. That's how I've seen it handled in the past. Now, since he was trespassed from that location, he went back to corporate and actually talked with the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs. His name is Ammon McNeff. And he just instantly goes liar, liar, pants on fire mode.
This guy's a
Again,
jerk.
this is filmed with his glasses here, so I don't know if I'm allowed to show it, but if you want to see it, I guess while it's still up on Reckless Ben's channel, you can go see how this went. But he is now denying that they even have Brian's Legos. He's like, who is Brian? I've never heard of that guy. So then Ben pulls up their social media showing all the posts that they have made about Brian's collection, his vintage Star Wars Legos, showing them that they are literally flaunting it, and even showing, like, where they talk about the value of his collection, showing it to his face that they do have his Legos. So even though he keeps, like, outright denying it, their own social media betrays his words. It then goes the same way it always seems to with these bricks and minifigs zombies. This guy actually has a cartoonishly evil mustache. He's got a twirled mustache, and he ends up just saying, you know what, you're wrong, get the fuck out of here, don't know what you're talking about, if you come back, you'll be arrested. So he gets the police on there, and he's basically been trespassed there, so he can't step foot. He then, through a series of plans, gets a employee of the store on his side, gets the owner's number, and then calls the owner directly, and finally presents the contract to the owner, who is once again doing the same thing the CEO was, saying, I don't know what Legos you're talking about, we don't have these Legos, what are you blabbering about, weirdo? So he sends him the contract, he's like, oh, well, I never signed that contract, there's no signed contract with me, and he's right, because it is the previous owner's name on there. But the thing is, when they took it over, they said that they are taking on those previous business agreements. They are taking on the consignments like this Lego collection that they had from Brian, which they are still actively hawking. They still have it, and they haven't paid for it. So, that excuse can't work. I don't feel like there's some legal loophole there when they have taken over this business and agreed to take on these consignments, according to what we have evidence of. So I feel like there's no way that they could weasel themselves out of it, like actually by law. It feels highly illegal what they're doing. And once again, these brainwashed ghouls at Bricks and Minifigs devolve into the same thing. You're harassing me! I'm calling the cops. So, once he is basically, you know, putting the fucking full Nelson here, the contract is there, he tries to claim that's not how the law works, we don't take on the business that we take over, so like this previous owner's contract no longer includes us, even though we're still selling that inventory, and even though the contract is still applicable to the business we took over, even though it's just not my name on there, so it doesn't count, which means we don't actually have to pay for this collection that we have an agreement with, and that we are still actively selling. You guys are wrong, you're harassing me, and I'm calling the cops. That's how that ends with the owner there. And then Brian talks about how when he tried to sue them, oh, I forgot to mention, the owner, of course, tried to play hardball, saying, well, sue me then. If that's how the law works, sue me. Because he knows that as this big corporation, they have enough resources.
Yeah, they even got it recorded on phone call. It's like some crazy twisting mustache villain.
To drag it out and make it very painful for just the average Joe Schmo. And then Brian starts to talk about how when he did try and sue them, go through the legal channels, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing or easy.
Brian already tried to sue him, and it didn't work.
We've been to a couple attorneys, and they basically spelled it out, saying here's the path that's going to happen if you go down each of these routes. They're now in Spain, so we're getting into that whole international thing just to have them an injunction on the store to have them go back and prove that they sold a nut. That's like $60,000 to $70,000.
Yeah, so basically what we just learned is they went through a bunch of runaround. We already were told they did run around. I probably could have skipped that, but this part's important. They're realizing it's really true that it's not worth trying to take them the I'm gonna sue you route. And the legal ecosystem is so complicated that there might be another legal mechanism to do it, but suing is just the most obvious how to do it. He figures it out in the second episode, so maybe I should skip to that one. I think yeah, so I'm going to skip around.
Minifigs knows that Brian and his dad don't have nearly enough resources to sue a company as big as Bricks and Minifigs.
He's like, we're going to keep these. You're going to walk away from this. You're not coming back. And if you choose to sue us, we will drag this out in court till it is well past what this collection is worth.
Which is something he touched on earlier with the initial threats that were made against him when he tried to inquire about either the payment for his father's Lego collection, which they have, or getting the Legos back, which they're refusing to do. They have this huge inventory that they have not paid for. It
is in this episode. There is a legal way and they end up winning, but they don't get any money. It's complicated. Well, it's not that complicated. It's just kind of stupid.
And so, I apologize sincerely for accusing you guys of stealing my Legos.
Ben actually had a really good idea here. So he once again contacted Josh, like, okay, Brian's going to make an apology video so that way we can move this along and get the Legos back. But what he did is he actually took a screenshot of Brian from an earlier conversation.
Oh yeah, this isn't it, but the CEO was actually just fucking with them and asked for an apology video and then didn't actually follow through. So where's the actual, here.
Saying, oh no, we just don't have it to give back. So these are just actual fucking degenerate scammers, allegedly, is what it looks like. These are just apparently, they don't have his Legos to give back anyway. He's saying the shelves are empty, there is no Legos to even give back, which is very contradictory to what Josh said not too long ago about like, oh yeah, we'll definitely give it back after this apology, it's coming. And they'd stalled for so long about, oh yeah, the Legos are coming, just, big hiccup here, unforeseen circumstances there, that kind of thing. And now they're saying, oh no, we just don't have it to give back. So these are just actual fucking degenerate scammers, allegedly, is what it looks like. These are just fucking awful people here at Bricks and Minifigs.
So basically, these are my two options. I can do what Josh wants me to do and shut up, which I can say right now, I'm definitely not doing that. So what's the
Josh is the CEO.
alternative? I can, I guess, raise hundreds of thousands of dollars somehow, and then maybe spend 3 to 4 years in court fighting them, and somehow, if I win, then we can finally get the family their Legos back. Yeah, both of these options suck. Or maybe I can somehow find a way to engineer a third option, which I call option number 3, small claims court. Think about it, small claims court is basically just like big boy court, except it costs basically nothing, and you get a judgment pretty much instantly.
After another hostile conversation with Josh where Josh is melting down again after still not giving the Legos back after he promised he would do, and again, Josh is a man of his word according to the phone calls here. It now has boiled down to only one option left, which is small claims court, because the big court is way too expensive. Now, what happened next, I couldn't actually believe. I was stunned. I can't recommend watching this video enough. They went through all the proper motions and channels from what I can see. Again, I'm not an expert, but it looks like they did squeak out the W with the small claims. Like, they didn't actually show up or do anything like they were supposed to.
Yes, since Bricks and Minifigs didn't respond, it looks like we win by default.
Congratulations, you won the court case.
This is the fucked up part.
Wait, what?
I couldn't believe it. Literally one day after we filed motion for default judgment, they permanently closed down the store.
Instead of paying them, they closed down the store, which I don't know how the legal system works, but all of a sudden that means since you claimed it from that store, they don't have to pay you. It's like they, instead of like owning it up and paying the guy back, they literally just shut down the location that was because of the legal gray area between the franchise consignment thing. The courts determined that it was still their Legos, despite the gray area. So what did they do? They just shut down the store. And then they don't have to pay? It's what it's seeming like right now. It's only been a few months since then, but...
At first, it did feel kind of cool.
And only a couple days since he's broke the news to us.
That our plan worked so well, it completely shut them down. But pretty quickly it sunk in that we are not the winners here. The only winners today is Bricks and Minifigs. Now, there's absolutely no way to hold this store liable for what...
And I'm telling you right now, guys, if you're like, why the fuck am I listening to this guy talk about a company that sells Legos stealing some dude's Legos? Because the way that they go about this stuff is almost exactly like Lil Jordy's down in Australia when the fucking state, the media, and the mob all worked together to firebomb his house because he had dirt on a company. It's just, this is just a smaller situation where there's not really like somebody has incriminating evidence and is a journalist looking for information, but it escalates. It escalates and escalates and it gets there. And in this series, we're going to be watching this for a while. We learned that the fucking state is the mob in this situation. Like the local police department literally is in cahoots. There's like, I don't have proof, allegedly, because but what I'm watching is like a very corrupt police department. I've seen all the parts of this thing. I want to go get some soda. I know soda's bad for you, but I'm fucking craving it. I'm gonna keep
what they did. I guess Bricks and Minifigs was kind of embarrassed by this decision and forgot to mark online that their store is closed. So over the next few days, a bunch of negative reviews started coming in of people expecting an open store, but then being met with this.
Fucking cinema. Like, yes, it is not a good ending because now they still haven't paid Brian for the collection, and they still got to get away with all of it.
Yeah, he's just going to repeat what I just said. So and then I have part 2 queued up.
I have to do a follow-up to the video earlier today covering the Lego scandal. If you haven't watched that video, nothing I'm going to talk about makes sense here. It's going to be all mumbo-jumbo. It's going to sound like that episode of Rugrats where Spike was hearing Tommy Pickles' parents talk, and it was just all... So, if you don't know anything about the Lego scandal, you can either watch the video from earlier today, watch Reckless Ben's video, which is where it all stems from, a thorough investigation through a unbelievably deep rabbit hole of corruption, depravity, and just absurdity all around Legos. In a nutshell, I guess I'll give you like the synopsis. A man named Brian took his father's Lego collection to a corporation called Bricks and Minifigs, which is a huge business in the Lego community, and he was selling the collection to them. The way that that's structured is they take the collection, they sell it, and he gets money for it. They had a contract in place with this location. It's an extremely valuable Lego collection, roughly around 200,000 clams worth, and Brian's father is not in the best of health, so this money was actually going to be used for very important things. And to fast forward, basically, he never received any kind of payment for it, but they did take all of the Legos. They had his whole inventory and were actively promoting it, marketing it, and seemingly selling it without ever having followed through on the terms of that agreement that they had with Brian. And in the contract, it is explicitly stated that he still owns the Legos. He never relinquished ownership of the Legos or anything. So he was still entitled to those products that he brought them should he request them back, presumably. And he did. He asked for them back. They kept refusing. He eventually got trespassed, apparently. Then Reckless Ben got on the case to try and get the Legos back. They refused. And it was a tooth and nail battle the whole way. And as far as we know, the public right now, it is still unresolved. They still have his Legos being fucking held hostage like it's some kind of ISIS terrorist negotiation, and he is not getting them back and has still not received payment for anything that they had sold from his collection, presumably.
My fucking diagram's a mess.
And that's only the tip of the iceberg. We've only got one fingernail on the titty and haven't even begun to suckle the milk out from the bosom. It is so deep and so ridiculous. I highly recommend you check out Reckless Ben's video covering it, but I want to give you a follow-up here because they did respond to his video. I only just now learned this, and Reckless Ben made a video covering their response, and there's a couple things that I want to talk about because I think it's an absolute load of fucking horseradish that they're trying to pull here with what they're claiming in a couple of instances.
When a complex business dispute is reduced to edited social media clips, critical facts are often lost. While we will not litigate this online, which they are currently doing, we want to clarify the core situation.
Okay, so I see what they're saying. So right now they're saying this is all a big misunderstanding. Ben has edited these clips to make us look bad, but we're not really bad. Now, for the rest of this article, we're going to share our side that Ben left out, is what I'm assuming they're saying here, right?
That is exactly what they're saying, and this sounds like the quintessential PR speak, boilerplate, template shit, nothing sincere, nothing genuine, just a desperate attempt from a PR firm to try and save face for their client here, Bricks and Minifigs, and there is just the standard jargon here. They are doing this because right now,
narrative centers around a private consignment arrangement allegedly made by former Salem.
They basically do the whole fucking PR spiel. This was all in one day, and then so this one's not actually that exciting at all, but this one's pretty crazy.
Scandal that I've been glued to for the last like 48 hours. I know I've already made 2 videos covering it because it is just developing so fast with so much insanity to it. It's hard for me to resist yapping about it. And now, the former owner of the Bricks and Minifigs that kind of kicked off this entire thing, the Powder Keg, has come forward to give her side of things, and she provides some evidence that is damning to Bricks and Minifigs. This corporation is just downright evil, it seems. It's like fucking Umbrella Corps. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they just released the T-Virus to distract us from all of their shady dealings in the Lego community. Now, real quick before diving in, I want to put something positive on your radar for anyone out there looking to upgrade their PC. At Starforge, we're doing a big memorial sale for the whole week. So if you've been looking to get a PC upgrade, now's the time. There's a link to that in the description.
Our Lego franchise and our life savings, along with a giant collection inside the store, which was owned by Brian Mansell's father, was taken by Bricks and Minifigs.
And then Reckless Ben made a great documentary about it, and it has blown up.
Just to bring you up to speed on the lore, these were the 2 previous owners of the Bricks and Minifigs, where Brian took his father's lifelong collection of Legos, valued at roughly $200,000 worth of Legos. He brought it to this facility, this store, this Bricks and Minifigs that was owned by them. They took it on with the consignment, and then they, the owners, made the decision that they were going to be leaving the country, and thus they were going to look for a seller for it. But Bricks and Minifigs corporate came in and kind of immediately kicked them out. Came in there, gave them the titty twister, and said, "Beat it, scum. Get out of here. Get out of town. You're not welcome." And they have on video Crystal here talking about like, hey, we have this big inventory and this consignment. what's going to happen with this, and on video, they confirm that they are going to be taking on all of that, including the consignment. They say that directly. So they were basically kicked out of their store, and they give a lot of information on that, and it seems like they were very unjustly excommunicado here from the John Wick Continental. And when Bricks and Minifigs swooped in here, these corporate zombies refused to give Brian his Legos back, and they still haven't paid for it, despite having his entire inventory and actively promoting and selling that inventory, even though, again, they haven't paid for it, and they were refusing to return it to him, even though under contract it is still Brian's Legos. They're just saying now, we don't do consignment, so that is all moot. What you've got there is nothing. But the thing is, if they don't do consignment, then how can they possibly justify keeping that inventory? It would be, I think, by all logical reasoning, stolen inventory in that case, wouldn't it? Since they didn't pay for it, and they're refusing to give it back. Knowingly.
Yes.
So, that's the whole mess in a tight little wrinkly nutsack. And now, the former owners are coming forward to show just how deep this corruption and rot goes within this company.
A guy named Brandon Best showed up on a Thursday night and demanded the keys. They threatened us with the police and promised to do an inventory and compensate us. They said they understood there was a large collection on consignment and acknowledged they were taking that over.
Because taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability.
So when they informed corporate about them potentially moving, it all started to get very messy and sloppy here. So this was the security footage that I had mentioned in Reckless Ben's video that I was hesitant to show, but now coming directly from the source that gathered the security camera footage, I feel more comfortable showing it. It is very clearly in plain English. There's no riddles here. It's not, mumbo jumbo. They are saying that they are taking on the consignment liability and, that kind of stuff. It is right there. But again, if he didn't have the authority to make that decision and do that, then they should have been immediately giving Brian his Legos back when requested, because they didn't pay for it. They don't do consignment. Thus, they have no legal right to have that inventory and sell it. It would be, I think, by all definitions, stolen product that they are knowingly selling to customers, and they haven't paid for it or anything.
They told us the same thing they told Brian Mansell, that we could fight them, but they would drag it out and make it so expensive we would be putting ourselves into a whole lot of shit. Their words. Here's their executive product manager and director of operations, Kai McAllister, on the phone with us the night they took the store.
If we go the legal route, it's going to be a very expensive battle for you, and it's not going to be a good position for you guys to get into. There's not a whole lot of options for you. If you want to go the legal route, it's just going to be a mess, and it's going to be expensive for you.
Yeah, so why not consider talking with us rather than leaping to this?
We jumped on the call with Crystal this
morning. And you talked with her, or you talked at her?
We talked at her. If you fight this, then you're putting yourself into a whole lot of shit. It sounds like a threat, and I can acknowledge you feeling that, because in a way it is.
I mean, we have no choice, correct?
Yes.
Sid from Toy Story here, Kai McAllister, on the phone, on the horn, directly making these threats. And again, this is the Bricks and Minifigs classic. This is their John Madden playbook, and they don't deviate from it. If you speak out against them, they will bully you into silence with litigious fucking iron fist. Or, in this case, if you look to try and get what you are entitled to, they will also threaten you with legal action. And they know that they probably wouldn't win, but they know that they have enough money to drag it out, bleed you dry, and make it extremely painful, stressful, and you would likely end up losing more money than you would ever gain from it. That is just the classic villain approach to shit. It is crazy how he's not even shy about it. In fact, he almost sounds proud. I can kind of hear like a small little boner forming in his pants. He's getting chubbed. Because he even says, I know you might perceive that as a threat. And it kind of is. Yes. Yes, it is. Like, that is Bricks and Minifigs. And like I said, their CEO literally has the cartoonishly evil mustache. He has a twirled evil mustache. This company is so fucked, it's unreal.
Notice, that's not some franchisee. That's corporate. They want to pretend they're not involved, but they have been involved every step of the way.
Of course, this was a nightmare. We were about to move and now had our life savings taken from us. We still tried, but this loss made the relocation untenable. Eventually, we were able to find a lawyer to represent us in Utah, where BAM is headquartered.
We tried to negotiate with BAM. Just as they threatened, they dragged everything out and refused to even offer a settlement.
I don't think there's a single human soul on the planet that bought the Bricks and Minifigs side of this story where they weren't involved, and this is all just the previous franchisees' dirty dealings, and they fucked it all up. It's their fault. Corporate was never involved. I think it was very clear from Reckless Ben's coverage. Corporate was very much involved here. They had their finger in the pie at all times. They were constantly in there fucking fingering it around. They were the puppet masters behind all of the degenerate, vile shit that was unfolding here in this whole Lego scandal. So hearing it from the owners, like, confirming that no, corporate's been here from the beginning, and in fact, when we tried to, legally go after them, the thing that Bricks and Minifigs said Reckless Ben needed to do it the legal way, which, again, he did win, and then they just closed the shop permanently, by the way, but they also did the same thing. They went through the legal way, but because Bricks and Minifigs has so many resources at their disposal, they can just drag it out forever, and then not even make any kind of settlement offer or anything. They can just indefinitely keep fucking hurting you and wringing you out like a towel.
They've tried arguments that are so contradictory, they make no sense when put together. They claim they own the store so they can take it, and also that they never owned the store in between taking it from us and selling it to Brandon Best and Josh Johnson. It can't be both. They claim in their newest public statement that it's all our fault they took Brian Mansell's father's collection because they don't allow consignments. But they were always aware of the consignment. They promoted it when it was on the news and in the newspaper a year before they took our store. And the franchise agreement expressly allows consignment, in contradiction of their newest statement.
Yeah, to me, and keep in mind, I don't have the Sharingan of a lawyer or anything, that feels like the dagger. That feels like it is just case closed and kaput, and Bricks and Minifigs has been blowing smoke up people's asses. And most asses were closed anyway. They weren't receptive to the smoke. No one really believed it. But her sharing this, where it just does explicitly state, franchisee may also offer consignment services. And then it goes on probably to say, like, approved by, multiple parties with that kind of thing. But they do actually lay out that consignment is something that is...
So at this point, I don't know who the hell's paying attention. I guess you are, Chris. But at this point, I think this is a good job showing. We know that there's someone who got fucked over by the company. The company, so they sold their Legos to a franchise owner under Bricks and Minifigs, under the consignment contract. They have the proof of it, even though the corporation now denies this. They use police force to silence when they show up to question it. But they are on camera agreeing to take on co-assignments, and they're on camera basically threatening that even though they might win a lawsuit, that they can't afford it. So this is when the victim brings on Ben, the journalist, to try to do coverage, and he shows up in the area and starts doing hands-on coverage, asking questions, and he sees the police being used right away. And this only gets worse and worse as the series goes on. We barely touched the iceberg. The next part is the craziest part, the next episode that he did. But this wasn't even the first time that a group of people tried investigating this for the victim. There was a group of YouTubers beforehand who wanted to try to help, but they all got things a cease and desists in the mail, and they were too scared to keep going. I think that's about how far we've gotten. Like, there's tons of exact details, but this is the important stuff to follow what the issue is right now. And it might not seem like, why did you pick these when there's been so many details? It's because I can keep drawing lines as things go, because it has a lot to do with connecting the police power to... I bet I could probably make some lines to media reactions too, but I feel like they lost the media pull this time. But yeah, they got the state and corporation both banging on them right now.
Permissible, given whatever other circumstances. It seems like she didn't even break any protocol then by taking on this consignment, especially considering when they did take over the store, they also promoted the consignment. They promoted the inventory and sold it. So then now coming forward and saying, no, we don't do that, so it's all moot, it's all her fault, we did nothing wrong, is entirely fucking delusional and is just a complete fabrication and seems fraudulent. Because she's provided proof that they do allow consignment services, at least in some cases. They were aware of the inventory through the consignment. They were fucking promoting and selling it, presumably. And on that security camera footage, they even had the rep outright say they take on the consignment liability. And now they're here saying, nope, we don't do that. And again, if you don't do it,
Okay, yep, he basically said what I said. Now let's watch the fucking freaky one. This is where shit pops off.
Crazier stories I think I've ever covered. All of this started over Legos and is now at a point where Reckless Bin, the guy who was really investigating it and blew the lid off of this, spilled the beans, has now been targeted more times than Cobra Commander by the local police department out there in Utah that is seemingly working in collaboration with Bricks and Minifigs.
Like, this is actually terrifying. I'm laughing. It's definitely a laugh out of shock. There's nothing funny about this. This could be me if I was focusing a corporation that wanted to get me and they had the means of... Like, this is a petty situation for them to do it over. But, like, seriously, this is the power these guys got.
Part 2 of Reckless Bin's investigation just dropped.
And this isn't even that big a company.
And he and his whole group get arrested. He has been targeted multiple times by the...
Well, like, they are actually pretty big. But, you know, in the grand scheme, what I mean.
The police getting arrested. And there is evidence presented on camera that seems to indicate that the police are knowingly engaging in what I think is pretty clearly some... barnacles, not to get into the technical terms there, that's some legalese for you, some barnacles.
I just tried to explain it with the chart. There's a victim who tried selling $200,000 worth of Legos to a franchise owner of Bricks and Minifigs. They did it in a co-signment, which means they have a contract that they signed with the franchise owner that allowed them to hold the inventory of their $200,000 in Legos. And with that inventory, they would be able to keep a share of the profit as they sold it. So it was a mutually good deal between them. Now, the franchise owners had to leave. And it's unclear if they got kicked out or not, but they had to leave. And what is clear is that they did get kicked out sooner than they had planned. And because of that, the franchise owners luckily had copies of the security tapes of that night, because the corporation heads that came in and kicked them out that night, she let them know about all the inventory that isn't paid for completely yet, and about the co-signment deal. And on camera, the corporate head is literally saying, we'll take on all the co-signment deals. Just point blank. But, well, ever since the owner, the victim, who made the deal at first, has been trying to connect with the new people who are supposed to be in charge of the co-signment deal, they literally don't even act like it's not even real. Because it's a manager. He tried talking to corporate first. They do the run-round strategy, right? You talk to corporate. No, you talk to the store manager. No, you talk to corporate. No, you talk to the store. They dealt with that for a long time. So he went to the store, and she immediately started blaming them for harassment when they brought it up in person, and the police showed up. So let's just say, for example, if those Legos, they don't want to be responsible for the contract, they just should give the Legos back. Because they don't belong to them. It would belong to the person who signed the contract first, which would be the franchise owners. And if the franchise owners had the Legos, they could give them back. But that's not what happened. The person who signed the contract, the franchise owner, left the Legos in the possession of the corporation. So she doesn't have the Legos, the person who signed the contract, and she didn't allow the corporation to legally take the Legos, per se. She did under the guise that they picked up the co-signment, but that's what they're acting that they know nothing about. No, I agree with you, Chris. They definitely are muttering because of that, they definitely already know about it. There's no way. They're probably just trying to figure out exactly how they want to deal with it. Because the guy who's been releasing videos is trickling them out. So this guy that we're watching is covering another guy doing the videos. And I wanted to do that because this guy's big influencer on YouTube. And he didn't know it was going to be this big today. And it just goes to show how good of a strategy it was for this original journalist. His name's Ben. To do what we call drip feeding, right? He trickles out the content instead of hitting us with it all at once. He ramps up of how corrupt it is. He makes it feel like a good story and pull over the course of 3 days. And then today, he slaps this down. Now pay attention. This shit's crazy.
In order to have him silenced because of what he's talking about. And there are some deep-rooted potential connections between Bricks and Minifigs and this local police department that is now, for some reason, going scorched earth on Ben and his entire team. It is absolutely fucking absurd. Arasaka from Cyberpunk is a less corrupt, less evil organization than Bricks and Minifigs, it seems. It's unbelievable. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you like the briefest rundown before getting into part 2 here, because this is wild. They literally come in guns blazing on Ben and his team.
Yeah, they come in with fucking SWAT guns at the end. That's
not to get into spoilers. But this all started because I had a voice crack. That's how extreme this is. It's affecting my vocal folds even yapping about it. Ben had been investigating a case of some potentially stolen Legos from Bricks and Minifigs. What happened is an individual named Brian took his father's Lego collection that his father had built up over years of his life. A very valuable collection valued roughly around $200,000 worth of product. He took it to Bricks and Minifigs to sell it to them on consignment, so that way he could take that money to his father, who was in not the best health, and this money was going to be used for very important things in the family. Well, what ended up happening is when he took it to that shop, Bricks and Minifigs, the owner was pretty much forced out after they had talked about leaving the country, and then corporate stepped in. This is all backed up by oodles of evidence. There's the whole kit and caboodle of evidence confirming this timeline, not the Bricks and Minifigs response of just actual gobbledygook that they keep trying to spit out. And
once again, the only thing I haven't fully confirmed about the evidence is whether or not they are real case filings, but it would be ridiculous if nobody has determined that or not. So I'm sure they're real case filings. And everything that he's saying here is a good coverage of the original coverage.
When that owner was forced out and corporate took over, they put up a big stink crossing their arms and refused to give Brian his Lego collection back, which is still his collection. By the very contract that was signed, it is still his collection, but they then said, oh, we don't do consignment. We wipe our asshole with that. We wipe our dirty little ass with consignment papers. That's toilet paper to us. So get out of here. Kick rocks, pussy. So not only could Brian not get his Lego collection back from Bricks and Minifigs, but they didn't pay for it, and they were even
I'm gonna skip ahead because he's pretty much just saying what I just said.
Like it's their dick. Like they are playing with it constantly. Bricks and Minifigs, that is. And the officers are more than happy to just swallow all of this cum from them. They go out there and just start guzzling. They are there and harassing Ben and his team, threatening them constantly, and they do arrest them multiple times. They even go in with guns blazing to his fucking house and dislocate his shoulder, like roughhousing him outside, even though no one put up any kind of fight. It's crazy. Let's get into it.
So I started to file my lawsuit. But right after I filed this court case, it got rejected. And the reason was I failed to demonstrate a good faith effort to resolve the dispute prior to filing.
Basically, before this court case gets approved, I have to at least attempt to settle with
This
Josh
is a
outside of
common
court
thing
first.
people have to deal
I tried
with
calling
that
Josh,
they don't
but
expect.
I'm blocked.
So that's not that crazy.
Basically, if Josh wants to save the day, I got him a trophy that says Joshua Johnson saved the day. And we'll give him this trophy, but he has to give the Legos back first.
So we started driving to Josh's house.
I had never heard of that. So in order to file this lawsuit, he needed to play in the pig pen with Josh for a little bit here to demonstrate that he tried in good faith to resolve it amicably.
Again, that's
exactly what Ben tried to do. He drove out to
unfortunately
Josh in order to meet him in
standard.
person to try and just squash the beef right then and there and get the Legos back so that way it didn't have to
But
go
what it does is it gives them a game to play, like cat and mouse.
through the legal system here with this lawsuit. Ben has been doing everything above board based on everything that I've seen here. Again, I'm not a fucking lawyer, but it is telling him what he needs to do legally, and he is doing it. Yeah, he's kind of being a little silly about it, like with the trophy, but I mean, that's exactly what Josh deserves. He deserves to be treated like a fucking temper tantrum-riddled child. That's what Josh is. We've heard him on the phone fucking melting down, crashing out, freaking out, sucking his thumb, farting his butt off.
Yeah, I don't think that could be called harassment. It's definitely rude. Like, talking to someone about a legal obligation they have that they're not going to like with a joke. Like, as long as you're not doing something over and over, I can't imagine it's harassment.
Off like this guy super sucks. So yeah, There's nothing wrong with delivering him a little, cheeky trophy about like, oh, he saved the day. Look, you finally did it, Josh. In order to avoid the lawsuit, if Josh is willing to do that. But guess what? Josh isn't that much of a man. He's a little bitch.
This happened.
Dude, the police just showed up. What the heck?
This happens so much.
Oh, there's another one, dude. 2 cop cars.
If you want to see SWAT, you gotta stick around for like 20 minutes, bro.
Yeah, you
It's
definitely
at the end.
stopped. So you said he ran a stop sign? Huh? You said he ran a stop sign?
I didn't see what happened.
Yeah, I was like,
Because we definitely stopped at the stop sign. Yeah.
I was so sure
So this is when that I forget exactly when this is, but there's 3 of them together in the car, and they're just leaving the house. They barely get out of the neighborhood, and they're stopped for running a stop sign.
We stopped at the stop sign. I actually requested all the police footage of this. And as you can see, we didn't even do a rolling stop. We fully stopped at the stop sign. So this is an illegal traffic stop.
Yeah, the corruption kicks off immediately upon Ben even entering the zone here. He's in the fucking PvP-enabled zone now. So, Ben, I think it's pretty obvious they were just looking for an excuse to stop them and intimidate them.
So who's Ben?
And then the first question they ask is, who's Ben? The guy who's actually doing the investigations. Tell me that's not a threat. There's the guys, I don't know whose license plate's registered. Maybe it's registered to Ben. That would make it make more sense. But I'm assuming the license plate is registered to the guy driving the car, who's not Ben. So that being the first question they ask after pulling them over, it's clear intention is just to be like scary, right?
Ben, how's Utah? It's good.
How's Utah?
We were forced to go home without having this good faith conversation the court requires us to have.
Pretty cool officer. He thinks he's in like an action movie or something. Hey, Ben, how's Utah, bud? I don't know why he's acting like that. That's so cringe. But anyway, Ben then explains the reason for being there. He then goes back to the car, and this is all on body cam. Do that, so they had to go home empty-handed because,
weird.
well, the police weren't going to allow that to happen.
I actually remembered that there's another owner of the store named Brandon Best. Brandon is the guy in the security camera footage that illegally kicked the first owner out of the store so he could steal all their Legos. I tried calling him, but I am also blocked.
I'm sorry.
The only option left is to show up to his house.
Hello. Hey, how's it going? Hello?
So with that now being a dead end, that quest has failed. He still has to demonstrate to the court that in good faith he had a conversation to try and solve it peacefully. So instead, he is now going to one of the other owners, Brandon Best. And Brandon actually does answer the door, but Brandon seems to be in like a fugue state. This guy comes out there like he's fucking possessed. I don't even think he knows what planet he's on. Brandon comes out there like he's confused on what year it is.
Hey, well, I was wondering if you'd be down to pay us for the lawsuit we won.
It kind of seems like Brandon doesn't want to have this good faith conversation to resolve this problem outside of court. And I gave him plenty of time to speak.
I guess if you don't want to talk, I'll just talk. So you guys told us to take you to court. We went to court and we won. We know you closed down the store to avoid paying us.
The dude's just standing there. He never says anything. He's trying to scare him. Otherwise, you just would stay inside, right? He just comes out and just stands there like a fucking crazy person.
So, we could just sue you guys personally and do the whole thing again. We would obviously win again, but
then the police showed up.
This boggles my mind. So Brandon is swaying over there like a fucking drunken zombie, refusing to say any words at all. He's gone catatonic. And he is still, his company, they've still not paid the lawsuit that they lost. How is that allowed? How is that not a crime against them? How can Ben win this case legally? It's in the system. This isn't like, far-fetched, like nonsense. It's a real legitimate case they won, and they're just not giving the payment that they are supposed to? I just don't know how that's not illegal. So the police do show up. They're immediately on Brandon's side, going after Ben about how Ben's lying about everything, even though it is all in the system. He won. Why is it? How can they just say, like, nah, we don't feel like paying. In fact, we'll just shut down the store, so how's that taste? This is what we'll pay you with. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. What do they have over there in Utah?
And again, for some reason, they are really trying to protect these criminals.
He didn't steal anything. He inherited the store from somebody
No,
else.
he stole $200,000 worth of... Because I've been spending the last 3 months in the case, and I won in court.
He inherited the store
Uh-huh.
He's being blamed for everything that the previous owner did.
They ask him why you're here. He tells them why he's there. He's there because he literally has to be there to do something in good faith to make the fucking lawsuit. And the dude won't make himself come out. Well, actually, he did come out, but he didn't say anything. Like, to bait him. Because if he said, yeah, okay, fine, leave, it would be fine. So he just stood there. And now this lady is saying that's a fake accusation, even though he won the claim.
And he's trying
Well,
to
that's a lie. So we.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The police officers are like brainwashed by Bricks and Minifigs. Are they just all in like Bricks and Minifigs pockets or something? This makes no sense. Why is she now regurgitating their lies? She doesn't even know what the fuck is going on. So
A formal trespass notice, which I took a picture of it and sent it to the court as proof I tried to have this good faith conversation, but Brandon didn't want to have
he takes the no trespassing order he got as proof that he tried to get the good faith
it with me. And turns out this was good enough. My
good
court
enough.
case with Brandon Best got accepted. But my court case with Josh is still going to be rejected until I find a way to have this good faith conversation with him.
So there we go. One of the fetch quests
That's
have been
only one
completed
out,
here.
two
He tried to have the conversation with Brandon. He got trespassed for it, submitted it, they accepted it, but he now still has to try and find a way to do it with Josh.
After some more research, we found out that both Josh and Brandon are super hardcore Mormon.
This becomes extremely relevant information later on as a possible connection between the Bricks and Minifigs goobers here that we are dealing with, as well as the law enforcement, because some of the local law enforcement officers that are constantly trying to have Ben and his team arrested, and actually do get them arrested, actually put them in cuffs and everything, they are also hardcore Mormons, from all of the evidence Ben presents. So is there a chance that they were just trying to protect their own, even knowing that he is doing something highly immoral and possibly very much allegedly, potentially criminal, illegal? Anyway, as Ben is leaving, he and his team are pulled over again by the officers, who are now initiating another traffic stop, and it became pretty clear what the tactic that was being used here from Josh and Brandon was. Since Ben had told Brandon that he's now suing them personally, he's going to go after them personally, it seems like they are desperately trying to find any excuse to have them thrown in the slammer to avoid that. So now we are going to get really familiar with the police department, because they've got them on the leash. Bricks and Minifigs, the puppet master out there, it seems, because they are using the police department willy-nilly out the window.
Heroin on us.
How's it going? How's it going? I'm Officer Hawkins, American Port Police Department. How you doing? Good, how are you? Good. What's your name? Are you Ben?
So apparently,
The
someone
police
gave them
apparently
a tip
got a
they had
call that
heroin.
we had heroin on us.
This officer's going to conduct a search of your person because there are legal substances in the room. So he's going to do that.
What do you mean, what do they have against Ben? Ben is investigating the... He's the one who's putting the money down, and... So, like, he's the one who filed the small claims for the guy and won. Or do you mean right now? Right? What?
I'm gonna put this away, and then we'll be right. Don't reach in your pockets for me, okay? Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Angela. I will point out there was a group of people who tried to investigate it before, and they got a cease and desist, so they just gave up because it could be expensive and it's scary. But and the legal system's difficult to navigate. After thinking hard and trying to get them to just give them back at the beginning of his investigation, he used his investigation to realize, he can file a small claims, and it's a lot simpler and cheaper, and that's what he did. But they didn't get any money back. So he won the case, but he didn't get any money back, and apparently that's legal. I don't know, and then you have to file something else to get the money, and it's legal because the business where the incident took place, they just shut it down instead of giving it back. It's so complicated with the legal jargon.
After 2 hours of searching the car, obviously they found no drugs.
So, you didn't find anything.
I explained to the police that we didn't have...
Yeah, but... Well... Maybe, I guess... On some sort of roundabout way, you're right in this circumstance, because... I think what they had to do was file something else to be like, hey... That business we sued isn't a business anymore, it's shut down. Because technically it was a franchise arm of a corporation, and the corporation took our shit, so we have to file something different now. And I think serving the papers is to prove that you tried to make a resolution in good faith, is what it seems to be. But that's the same thing as serving papers, I think. I don't know, actually. I'm not a legal expert. You might know way more than me. That's just the order I remember.
Have drugs, and the reality of the situation is that Bricks and Minifigs is so desperate at this point that they're willing to do anything to get us arrested so they don't have to pay for the property they stole.
Yeah, that's pretty low. These fucking scumbags are now resorting to falsifying these reports to officers. They are maliciously...
Yeah, my bad, Angela. I think I'm oversimplifying it, but I do think you're missing a detail. That's why I'm trying to explain it.
Relaying fraudulent information to the officers to try and have Ben and his team arrested. So now, Brandon/Josh here is saying that they had heroin in their car, so the police pulled them over and searched for drugs, and of course they didn't find anything. And interestingly enough, this appears to be part of a pattern from Josh Johnson. This seems to be one of his go-to tactics. According to one of the previous owners of the Bricks and Minifigs, where all this started, the Patient Zero, when they were kicked out, when corporate swooped in and, excommunicated them from the Continental, Josh Johnson had apparently been spreading rumors telling people that they, the previous owners, were selling heroin. So Josh really seems to like that lie about, oh, a person I don't like and I want to have arrested, oh yeah, they have heroin. Oh yeah, they're selling heroin.
Basically, they're waiting for them to make a stupid mistake like I just did and say some stupid legal thing wrong so you get the whole case thrown out because you don't look credible or something. Or maybe they do find, like, Adderall on him, which isn't that crazy nowadays for people to have. Like, maybe he was expecting to say heroin, but they find something and they just fuck him that way. You know? It's really shitty.
Seems to be something he does pretty often. Why is that not a crime? I mean, it is a crime, but why is he not being arrested for it? They've now gone through the search. They found nothing. We now know that he was wrong, and we now see that, at least according to one other source here, he has done this at least twice on purpose. That's a crime. Can we get him, maybe held accountable for that shit? It's kind of ridiculous.
They were still not going to let us go until we told them where the drugs were.
Your eyes, for example, right? There's a constriction, which is dilated, and then not.
There's a constriction. Is that a normal way to talk about eyes? They constrict. I know dilate.
Go ahead, look at it.
Oh, look at it?
Yep.
You do see it?
So.
It's crazy. I have no idea, because I've never done any drugs in my life. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I've never done any of that in my life. I'm willing to do any drug tests.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very cooperative. I don't understand, what you're seeing in my eyes.
I'm going to have a discussion with this officer.
Oh, they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. They're really trying to alt. Oh, it's your eyes. Your eyes, you have heroin eyes. I can see the heroin in your eyes, Buster. But this, hats off to this guy for remaining so calm. He's like, okay, do you see it? This fucking fairy tale? You see it? Hey, look, I'll do any drug test. Let's rip it. And then the officer's like, give me a moment. Give me a second.
And then the police department illegally redacted this conversation too. My guess is that they acknowledged that it's very obvious we don't have drugs on us, but they were going to try and pressure us into giving some type of false...
Oh yeah, so in this part of the video, we start learning there's so much redacted audio. Which, to be fair, gives Ben an opportunity to fill in his own narrative, and he says, this is where they're definitely planning how to fuck us next. And it's probably true. Why the hell are you getting rid of the audio right after, like, all these pivotal points?
Confession anyways.
I'm not sure if you're lying to me or not, to be honest.
I'm willing to take any drug test you want.
I'm walking a very dangerous line, which will get you hemmed up a lot.
Yeah.
And you could end up in jail in Utah when you're from Cali.
Okay.
Not worth it, right?
Yeah.
We play differently here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Again, I did not pull the source material myself, but I did review these videos. So, like, unless Reckless Ben is making up extreme, dangerous lies that is going to get him in tons of trouble, I mean, like, why is he's making the claim that they're redacting audio. That's a huge claim if it's not true. And it's easy to prove if it's true or not.
I'm willing to cooperate with you guys and do anything you want me to because I'm not hiding anything. I can promise you that. I promise.
We weren't giving the police a false confession like they wanted, so eventually I guess they just got tired and let us go.
Oh my god, I love that from the officer. You're walking a real dangerous line here, mister. What, the dangerous line being cooperative? What dangerous line is he walking? He's telling you he will do whatever drug test you want, and you're like, oh, you better be very, very careful saying shit like that. I'm about to take you the fuck down. And then they're even saying we play differently over here. No, it seems like you play stupid. It seems like you play unethical ball, is what it seems like. Because you are being wielded like Josh's personal fleshlight. This is a complete bogus stuff.
The reason why I say I think you're missing a detail isn't because I think I know more than you. It's because what happened was the store that had originally made the consignment shut down after they won. And because of that, they weren't getting paid and they had to do something else legally. But I don't know what that is. But I do think it still involves serving papers, and they did do that. It was part of this episode, I think. I think we watched them do that already. It's been really complicated.
Stop here based on false information. Clearly, you know there's no drugs there. There's no probable cause to take it further. Both of these men don't seem to be intoxicated or on any substances at all. It's plain as day. They're being cooperative, and they're still trying to find any excuse to lock them up. Under the directions of Josh, most likely. That's what it seems to be. So yeah, I guess they do play by some different rules over there. Some very corrupt rules, seemingly. This is just totally fucking unacceptable. Every officer you see in this video doing shit like this, I think absolutely needs to be fired. And beyond that, needs to be investigated and potentially thrown in jail themselves. Having corrupt officers like this is extremely dangerous to public safety. And there is overwhelming evidence to showcase...
I'm gonna be honest, Charlie, that's this guy's name. His name's Charlie. Penguin Zero on YouTube. He's making a really... This might just sound like he's yapping, and he does a lot of yapping, and he's been doing a lot of yapping, and I've been trying to skip it, even though sometimes But right now, he's going on a tangent about how this has a lot of dangerous implications for just that police force in general. Like, the people who are willing to do these things over, like, a Lego company, what else would they use their badge for? You know what I mean? And even if it's not bad intention, it's incompetence that's also disgusting. For playing along with it. So I think I appreciate how much he yaps about that.
At the very least, complete incompetence to the point where that is also dangerous to public safety. It's fucking outrageous.
We'll let you guys go now, but you're walking a thin line. Just be mindful of that. Does that make sense? Okay.
At this point, I've documented everything I've been through to the court, that I've tried to have this good faith conversation with Josh. He just doesn't want to have it with me. And because of everything I went through, my court case finally got approved.
So now we can go to the next steps here. And I know I keep interrupting a lot, but it's just so much to unpack here. So much corruption, it's unreal. All over Legos. And what is very easily provable, bricks and minifigs being in...
You know what's crazy? I'm starting to realize if I really want to continue this career, and I do, and I want to evolve my academic thesis, like the concepts that I try to explain about how our identity shapes culture, and it's created an extractive culture, and it doesn't require a coordinated, like all my vertical war thesis, you know? I should start to learn law. I just have to. There's so much jargon, and I'm sick and tired of just bending over backwards to understand it in the moment. I should spend some time trying to understand it all as like a course. Like, to swallow it all. Because it's so much fucking brain work. Ugh.
In the wrong. Like, it's unbelievable. But like the officer's in saying, all right, be mindful. Be mindful of what? Driving and doing nothing wrong? because that's what they were doing. Be mindful of what? Some psychopath lunatic calling in a false report to have the police scoot in sideways on you? That's completely out of his control. You can't be mindful of that. You have a maniac on the loose over there named Josh.
And attached to this email are court papers to serve Josh. The only problem is Josh is not going to open this door for anyone. So I made this poster that says, "I stole a dying man's life savings," and printed it out. Now I'm placing this poster in a public space right across the street from Josh's house. Yeah, it turns out I have a process server to serve him his court papers. But almost immediately, my sign got blocked.
This is the part where they serve it. But they're not serving it because of the claim. They're serving it because of that extra follow-up, which actually means it might still be for the claim. I don't know. This is why I need to learn this stuff.
Oh no, he's blocking our sign.
As you can imagine, this is where it really pops off. So he now has the court papers to serve Josh, but he has to serve Josh. So he gets a process server out there. He tries to get Josh to come outside to, take down the sign. It is on public property. He is 100% within his right to put that sign there. But once again, protecting Josh, here comes the goof troop. They're now blocking the sign, and they're about to go have some very stern conversations with Ben, and things are going to only continue to escalate.
What are you guys doing here? So we are in a court case with them, and we have to serve them legal papers.
You look so young.
The police realized that we're not breaking any laws. They've been called here for a false reason.
I wonder how old he
They
is.
decided to leave. And then we got the police calling us again.
Hello. Yeah, the court requires us to come in person for some reason, so...
Again, the cops realized that we are doing nothing illegal and decided to leave. Now it's time to serve Josh his court papers. But
how many times is that? I think they've already walked over to his car 2 different times. Yeah,
so we are in a court case with them.
So decided to leave.
Yep, I see those papers. Yeah.
You're
court case with
only continue.
Right. Or is it 3?
Man's
No, that's 2.
There's
Sorry,
legal going on
I
here.
think it's 6
The
times.
He's about to Josh
When they try to do this.
He could even just serve the.
They're standing in the way of justice. They are actively preventing the legal system from working.
He could even just serve the papers for me.
You okay if I give these papers to him? Yeah, for sure. Just give me
He
one.
offers
Okay,
to
thank
take
you.
the papers too.
Sadly, we can't see the police
Now,
officer serve
does
Josh.
how does this work legally? Cause watch what happens next. Like I don't know.
Because the police department redacted all of it. But the only thing that really matters
And it's
is
all
that
redacted. That's all redacted. Like what the fuck? What the actual fuck?
Josh is getting served.
He does not want the paper. So he's not want the papers? Here's that back for you.
What a surprise. How is that allowed? Hey, so he's serving you these papers, part of the legal process, an integral part of the legal process. Oh, you don't want them? Oh my God, I'm so sorry to...
Angela, that sign being there is almost never brought up unless he's doing framing by omission, which would be really shitty if he was doing that. But they never mention the sign.
Thank you, Josh. Do you want me to fondle your balls, by the way, real quick? Okay, all right, let me do that real quick. Okay, I'm gonna go take these back over there to Ben now, all right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Yeah, no, I understand you don't want them. I'm sorry. I'll just go ahead and continue to impede the legal system. Thank you so much, Josh. I love you, brother. Group hug in the shower tonight? Thoughts? And all right, sorry.
Isn't that
I'll go ahead and
crazy?
impede.
You said he cannot refuse the papers?
Okay, if I could leave.
Well, like,
that
then what
really
is
matters.
this?
Here's that back for you.
What a surprise. How is that
The police officer comes back and is like, here you go.
Back for you.
What a surprise. How is that allowed?
He didn't want it.
Hey, so he's serving you these papers, part of the legal process, an integral part of the legal process. Oh, you don't want them? Oh my God, I'm so sorry to bother you, Josh. Do you want me to fondle your balls, by the way, real quick? Okay, all right, let me do that real quick. Okay, I'm gonna go take these back over there to Ben now, all right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you.
And the guy,
Yeah, no, I understand you don't want
Charlie's
them. I'm
just
sorry.
like-
I'll just go ahead and continue to impede the legal system. Thank you so much, Josh. I love you, brother. Group hug in the shower tonight?
So
Thoughts?
that's,
And, all right,
is
sorry.
that
I'll go ahead
legal?
and
Did the police officer not comply with his legal obligation there? Is that what just happened? Like, that's what I'm not smart. Well, I won't say smart enough. I'm not trying to be deprecating, but that's what I just don't know enough. Like... Is to what? Why can't I see what that word is? Mail them to him. Mail them. Yeah, but he probably didn't want to do that because it'd be really easy for him to keep delaying it if he did that. Just keep saying, where is it? Where is it? Because he already knows that they have this local legal system. Apparently, they have connections. Yeah, it's all too complicated for me to confidently say yes or no. Like, I'm good with history. I'm good with sociological ideas, even some psychology. But I don't know, law is something I haven't felt like I need to know very much about till recently.
Graham, let me go ahead and bring these back over there to ensure that they don't get served to you as is lawfully required by the legal system. Have a good day, Josh.
Not sure what this is. I've never seen something like that. It doesn't look good when you've been trespassed.
Yeah.
Trying to serve papers.
Well, I think it looks exactly how we're supposed to do it legally. This is the legal way to do it.
I always thought that the police...
So the company isn't out of business. This is why it's so complicated. This is such a big corporation that they have so many stores. They're a chain. And his small claims win was for a particular instance in a store that just closed down their location, where it happened at after he won. So, again, I'm not smart enough. I don't want to keep saying that because I'm not trying to be deprecating, but I don't know enough about law to say whether or not how that happens or if it's more complicated than how they're saying it and this is all just bad framing. And if it's bad framing, maybe he's just dumb like me and he's not even trying to do it bad. But it all seems... Well, let's just wait till the end, all right?
Police were supposed to remain unbiased, and
Like,
if they were going to take a
SWAT.
side, they definitely shouldn't take the side of the criminal. But I guess I was wrong. We got the police called on us again.
Oh, sure. The paper? The serving paper?
Yeah. Trying to speak with someone to verify if a case is... Just verify if a case is real.
Yeah, looks like a real small claims case in our court.
Okay, thank you for your help. That's all for today. Thank you.
So after bringing the papers back, after refusing to serve it to Josh because he said, nuh-uh, the officer then gets like really accusatory with him, saying, it's bogus paper, this is stupid paper, you got dumb paper, watch out, bud. And then they leave. Then the cops get called on him again. This time he directly takes the papers because he's going to try and find out if they're real or not definitively. He definitively gets a hard, yes, those are real, it is legitimate. And you would think at that point it'd be smooth sailing, like, okay, this is all real. Everything Ben's saying seems to be truthful. That's not how this goes.
I think this phone call was the breaking point for the police.
Oh, he's rubbing his chin.
The police couldn't handle...
Honestly, after this video, I'll spend time fact-checking the legal elements of their claims.
the fact that I was right and they were wrong.
Okay.
Okay, we're trying to find you back.
Am I being arrested?
You're under arrest right now.
Really?
I was confused on what I was being arrested for. I mean, the same police officers that arrested me gave me permission to do exactly what I was doing.
That escalated quickly. Again, I don't know if he's framing it poorly on purpose, but that would be a really poor choice on his part if he wants to keep a career in the future.
The sidewalk, wherever is public, right? But you can't go on that property. If you do, you'll be charged, okay?
Okay, yeah, for sure.
I got arrested for just doing what the police told me to do.
Not only doing what the police told him to do, by the way, what the legal system instructs him to do. He has to serve those fucking papers.
Yeah, dude, they literally were just like, so they are not leaving yet. So you know they just kept going back to bother him to scare him. And they're like, fuck, this isn't working. He's just gonna sit here all day. Fuck it. Arrest him.
One in small claims court, they didn't pay. And now he's suing them personally. And to do that, as he's already been accepted and did everything by the legal process for it. Oh, you've got some nerve coming around Utah telling the truth, Ben. Like, what the fuck is this? This is actual insanity.
From Brian.
Whoops.
The truth, they didn't just arrest him for it. Oh, you've got some nerve coming around
here.
Yeah, the cops down there are definitely all in with the Mormon community, and being the Bricks and Minifigs is part of that, and worth millions.
And this helps explain how they all know each other. You know,
of which all the cops
all religious networks have
Brandon
some
Best, Joshua
like,
Johnson,
connections.
and Eamon,
They
the
don't always
CEO,
do it for
are
crime.
all
but
super
sometimes they
Mormon. Like the
use it for shady
CEO even
things.
went to the Mormon University, and when I looked up all the police officers who were treating me unfairly, they were all Mormon too.
Nothing about the religion being bad or not.
clan that takes care of each other.
And instead of trying to get rid of the few bad people who are making Mormonism look bad, they're for some reason choosing to protect these criminals. But eventually, I got released from jail.
So that's where the potential connection comes into play. So all the officers are apparently pretty hardcore Mormons, as well as our main assholes here from Bricks and Minifigs. So that would explain why these officers are so cooperative with Josh in particular, even though they keep getting routine calls out there for nothing. And even though they definitely got a false report and acted on fraudulent information and still keep doing it for Josh,
My
it
light's,
seems.
like, flashing
So I
like
think that's
crazy,
probably
okay.
correct. I think Brian's right. I think it is because they are all part of this Mormon community that is just looking to protect each other. So instead of holding
Why'd
someone
they start
accountable
doing
like
that?
Josh, who is engaging very clearly in some extremely immoral shit and potentially criminal shit, potentially doing a lot of heavy lifting there, I think there's
What town? Good question. Oh god, this makes it even more confusing. This stuff came out after, I think. Like, there's still updates happening. So I'm not gonna look at updates right now. We're gonna get the fresh narrative, and then I'll maybe do it. I'll definitely do an update when I learn more of the aftermath. My ADHD is on peak right now. Why did I come here again? Oh yeah, what town? Isn't there usually location around here? Kaiser, Oregon. Keizer. That's where this location closed down. And yeah, I won't try to answer all those questions right now because it's going to take some research, but I'll do follow-up.
There's overwhelming evidence to suggest there is definitely something very fishy afoot at the very least, and still refusing
We want to see the SWAT team
to give back those Legos to Brian, which, again, by his own company's admission, they shouldn't even have in the first place if they don't do consignment. Thus, they have no legal right to that inventory, and they are selling what is, by textbook definition, stolen property. All of this is something not even being considered by the law enforcement, despite Brian proving in court, winning his case, that he is the one being truthful, that his account of things is accurate, that the evidence is on Brian's side, not Bricks and Minifig's side. No matter what, though, it doesn't matter to the police department here, it seems, because they'd rather just protect Josh because they're Mormons. That appears to be what's going on. That's the only possible explanation for why they're going so hard against Ben, and this isn't even the hardest they go. He gets arrested here, and he does get out on bail. He gets arrested off absolute nothingness.
I just want to point out this is big deal for me as a media creator, from like awareness of how successful his approach to releasing these videos was. It wasn't just his content. His content's pretty cool. It's awesome. He's doing something really righteous. Nothing super unique though, and there's nothing super talented about the videos either. He's definitely doing something awesome though, and the video's worth it. But why is it popping off? It's because the way he like made it seem like, oh, it's only this thing, which is really, this probably pisses you off a lot, is what he did in the first video. And it did. It's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, well, check this one out. Bam! And then it's like, and then he just keeps escalating it. And now it's just, the amount of escalation hit right now, nobody even was ready for. It's
just complete fucking barnacles. And they still aren't done with him. They still aren't finished with him. They are actually trying to just...
It's a good way of doing content creation for things that matter, right? Because attention is what you need for movement. It's what you need for change. So like I was paying close attention to this success of his.
Ruin his life and throw him in jail forever for the crime of reporting the truth and trying to get justice. He is going through all of the proper legal channels, doing it the right way, and even following all of the orders from the police and still getting this unfair treatment. So yeah, it probably is because they are in this tight-knit community here and they just want to keep protecting each other instead of holding them accountable, like Josh or Brandon or something. And it's fucking gross. So they are putting that above their duty of...
Chris, before I forget, or Angela, you too, since you're here, have you guys heard of Friendly Jordies or read the article I've made about the state, the mob, and the media work together to try to shut down one YouTuber? Imagine this situation here, but instead of it being a guy trying to get his Legos back, it's a guy who has a vendetta to investigate a corrupt financial company, and that corrupt financial company has so many ties in the Australian government and the local mob that his house has been firebombed twice, and he has proof of people wanting to kill him in messages and things, and the police do like nothing.
Protecting the public and enforcing the law and getting the bad guys in jail. Instead, they're getting the good guys thrown in jail here.
Out of jail now?
And this is when it really hit me that the justice system has decided.
Yeah, I don't point out, well, rather, I always point it out when I see it clearly, but I never just assume that things are a coordinated effort between everyone. But this situation in Australia that I wrote about is really just like, what the fuck? And it's not, and it really doesn't need everybody to be in a big room making big plans together at the end of the day. All it takes is big money, knowing that money is king, and all of a sudden everybody knows what to do. You know? If everybody knows making the most money is all that's important, y'all don't even need to plan together no more. You're a machine. People, the capitalism machine, bro.
Decided to protect these criminals. So now there's really only one way I can think of to get this family the money back that got stolen from them, which is a GoFundMe. Time to promote it, to start getting donations. We printed out the GoFundMe's picture to hang it up so we could get a nice Instagram video to post to social media. But before the group could even hang the picture up, the police came.
What you guys up to?
Bro, the fucking police department must be headquartered in Josh's house or something. Like, holy shit. He must have like an underground facility of just these clone troopers from the Utah Police Department. They are just spawn camping. They literally live in fucking Josh's house, I guess, just for the sole purpose of trying to arrest Ben and his team for trying to get justice.
We're starting a GoFundMe. Yeah. What we're doing is we're going to get a bunch of publicity to get basically all this money back to this family.
Into some defamation stuff.
Again, the police were thinking of any technicality they could think of to protect their Mormon friend.
Look at your stalking code. See if it's that. If it's not, we're going to look at disorderly. If it's not disorderly, then we're going to look at the city ordinance.
But after going through every law they could think of, it turns out that hanging this sign on a fence and then taking a picture of it for Instagram is not illegal. In fact, what the group is doing is...
No, Angela, but if you want to... actually, I'll just write it down. Because my memory's ass. I won't remember unless I write that down. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what a Havana weapon is. Unless that's a typo. Because, yeah, I'll look into her after. I like knowing who my engaged subscribers read.
is actually protected under the First Amendment, freedom of speech. So one of the police officers let the group know that they were okay to keep doing this.
Right now, I don't think you guys break the law.
But this other police officer wasn't able to accept this reality.
We're gonna take it down.
I love that. One officer's like, all right, so you guys aren't breaking the law, and the other guy's like, dagnabbit, and takes it down and throws it in the cruiser. So you can see them literally salivating and trying to really grasp at straws for any possible way of perverting the law to suit their puppet master's instructions, allegedly, to have them arrested. So they are doing everything they can to find some way, some excuse to arrest them, even though what they're doing isn't illegal. And the officers even said that on his body cam, by the way.
I can actually hear what they're saying here.
You see that or give that? Is it an occasional crime? Is it disorderly conduct? Why? Is he upset about it?
I mean, I guess, but that's not.
Yeah, this police officer is right. Just because this might make Josh upset does not make this poster illegal.
What the fuck is a
So,
Havana weapon? Is this like some sort of conspiracy theory? Because if you think we need special weapons to control the working class, you're wrong. They do it without those special weapons that you think they have.
I decided to let the police department know that some of the redactions they made aren't exactly what they're claiming they are.
Redaction was.
Okay, well, that.
Oh yeah, the microwave weapon. Yeah, that. All that does though is kill people, right? It makes their brain mush. You think you think they're turning their brains to mush? Okay, you're right. That's not conspiracy.
That didn't happen.
That definitely
I know about that.
didn't happen.
No, I don't do that, Ben. I follow the Utah State Code, like I just said.
Right here, the police are actually admitting to themselves that none of this is illegal, but they're still going to try to arrest us anyways. It seems like the only reason they're getting rid of this audio is to protect the police officers from getting fired. I don't know what the police officers are saying in this next clip, but I'm pretty sure they're scheming up a way to get the group arrested, because this is what happens next.
And Lieutenant Adamson can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to seize your phone right now.
I would need to see evidence that they've improved those weapons since the last time we have evidence of them working, because the evidence we have of them working made it so that you had to be extremely close and it took an insane amount of long time for it to work. Wasn't it? Last time was like in Europe. Like I don't doubt that they've improved that technology, but I just can't see it practically being used for domestic control or anything.
Do not do that. You understand me right now?
Basically, I'm saying they have better ways to do it if they want to do it. If they want to fucking stop you, they got better ways.
Destroy evidence. Okay, put your hands behind your back.
So Ben was able to sync up some of the redactions here and actually find some of what they were saying, and it does appear that they are saying like, yeah.
Like, don't forget MK Ultra existed, and even though most experiments were failures, there were tons of people who were like on power trips, and they were learning tons of things about human psychology, even though they weren't getting the results they wanted. Like, that's the kind of system we're dealing with, not a system that blatantly takes guns and turns our brains to mush. We're dealing with a system that understands, like, the power of flashing lights, aka attention, aka algorithms, the power of feeling helpless. When you're strapped down, you're trapped, you're surrounded by the same noise over and over and over again. Like, we have been living in propaganda for a long time, and I don't like to say it such a way that scares away my audience, but if I had to be honest, like completely fucking honest with the world right now, I feel like a couple years ago I woke up and I was like, holy shit, our entire country is drenched in this completely silver-coated propaganda. It's in every corner of the world. My dad has it, my mom has it, my grandpa has it, my friends have it. Everybody's got this crazy, like, bro, I don't know where I'm going with that, but
really a crime, but then they still do find a way to weasel out some kind of excuse for an arrest, and that's exactly what they do. So, and he also reports it, by the way, and the lady says, that didn't happen. No, we don't do that, Ben. I don't do that. Didn't happen. Even though you can watch and hear it, but whatever, I guess. So yeah, now they start arresting him, and as he's giving him his phone, he goes to lock it, and Officer Goofball here, in his tactical glasses, hits him with a, don't do that. I thought he was about to draw his weapon on him. All because the guy had the gall to try and lock his phone. Which is like a normal habit, by the way. Anytime I see my phone's unlocked, I lock it too. Every human being on the planet does. So just going to lock his phone, super normal. That's not destroying evidence. Also, they don't have any legal ground to stand on.
So I feel like I'm super lucky that I went to school for media research. If I literally didn't study in college, like how important sources are, what a real source is, whether or not the difference between making a thesis using primary sources and citing a thesis as a source, as reality, like understanding that you can apply empiric data with scientific methods to genuinely create trends of data for media, like it really helps me deal with this attention economy, but I still affected by it. Everybody's affected by it no matter what, but the amount of understanding I have, I think really does help. I wish I could just teach it everybody. It's called media literacy, the most important part about it. In understanding that all media is worth consideration, but the amount of faith and understanding of reality you put into it should be almost directly accumulative with how many facts correlate with it, like how many substantial things, like now so many people want to say it must be true this, must be true that, this, that. You don't see the sun, you don't up close, is the sun even real? And it's just like, I can't with that. At that point, I'd rather discuss what's the point of even anything, right? You're like, yeah, maybe it's not there, but who cares? It acts like it's there, motherfucker. My ADHD probably makes me sound like I'm talking about crazy stuff. Sorry.
For how that could be destroying evidence, they don't even have a warrant to search it or anything. So he did nothing wrong, but the officer instantly springs into like combat mode there over it.
I was just locking my phone.
Okay, I'm gonna switch over to the police officer's body cam POV so we can dissect what just happened. First, the police officer asks if he can confiscate Sheldon's phone, so Sheldon says, okay, and reaches in his pocket to give it to him. But at this point, Sheldon sees that his phone is unlocked. And at this moment, he decided that before giving it to the police officer, he was going to lock his phone, which is totally legal. There is no search warrant, so Sheldon is legally allowed to lock his phone. But as the police officer saw Sheldon's thumb moving towards that lock button, he snatched it out of his hands. And now the police officer...
So you wanna know what? I'm skipping this because I kind of broke the momentum. I started chatting with you guys a lot. I'm gonna skip right to the juicy part.
Officers claiming that because he tried to lock his phone, he's destroying...
Like that. You understand me? Don't move like that. Okay?
Yeah, this cop pulled my arm so far back that it was about to...
So why is he here? Food for thought. That's a little interesting, huh?
I literally couldn't have imagined a worse ending for this video. But I had no clue that it was about to get way worse.
Park Police Department, make yourself known. Search warrant. Stand up. Step outside, everybody. Come on.
Hey, I appreciate it.
No. Don't move like that. You understand me? Don't move like that. Okay?
Yeah, this cop pulled my arm so far back, it dislocated my shoulder. He claims it's because I was attempting to make an escape or something.
Don't move like that. You understand me? Don't move like that. Don't move quick. Everybody just chill.
If we go back a little bit, you can see I was being completely still when he grabbed me, and I actually made 0 quick movements. So this police officer is just straight up lying.
Dude, they
so he
were
can
all
give me
walking out, all chill. That's Ben. That's the investigator, like the guy who's kind of spearheading the reason why everybody's here and they're still fighting it. He's the guy that has a small YouTube community. He wanted to try to use his platform and he's doing it successfully. And the officer is like, this is the guy I need to hurt. He's the enemy.
Serious injury.
Included in the warrant are Legos. And this is where it really, really, really gets unhinged.
And you want to know why they're there? You might have heard a hint there. I'm going to let you guess because I know there's at least 2 of you in chat. Maybe 3. Why do you think they're there? Well, I mean officially, like on the books. Like, yes, we know they're. My bad. You're right. I asked that wrong. We know they're there to just fuck around, fuck with him. But what's there on the warrant? He said it. Like, what's their legal reason? Dude, you can't make this shit up. That's why I'm pausing it. Like, It can only be a handful of things for me to think is worth pausing and emphasize it. No, it's not heroin. I'll let it play.
They come in with the guns drawn on the house. They fucking raid it based on a complete bogus search warrant where now the Bricks and Minifigs guys are trying to claim, oh, Ben stole the Legos, and the judge signed off on this search warrant.
So they got a tip that Ben actually stole the Legos that he's investigating the theft of. Anonymous tip. Mind you, this is the police department that did absolutely nothing about the real complaints when they made real complaints months ago. Now, all of a sudden, it's an anonymous tip. And they fucking send everybody.
Weren't here. So now they go and they arrest everyone in that house. And Ben in particular, they rough up. They dislocate his shoulder and claim that he was threatening to run. That he was giving them an indication he was about to flee. But the body cam betrays that lie because you can see he's not. He's just standing there. And they just wanted to fuck him up because they could. This is so ridiculous. This should be huge outrage across Utah. Like, this is your law enforcement doing this, by the way. And these are your tax dollars being used to do shit like this. Being misused by people
really
like the Bricks and...
It's not only an emotional roller coaster, it's a microcosm. It's a fucking real life microcosm. It's an example of the entire reason why our GDP goes up every single year exponentially compared to growth median wages and quality of life of working class citizens. It's the exact same leverage of power. People who have the means are going to use the means. Just period. That's why I gotta write a follow-up.
Minifigs goobers like Josh and Brandon. You should be upset. Anyone should see this and be extremely concerned and alarmed. Again, every officer that we're seeing here should 100% lose their jobs for this. It is corruption in broad daylight. This is just bare naked corruption. There are corporate ghouls.
The franchise store was in Oregon. The place where he had to go to meet with the owners was in Utah. I think. Or maybe I have that backwards. That's why there's two different spots though, is the owners live somewhere different than the store.
That are weaponizing your local law enforcement for their own personal gain. They are using it as their own tool to turn it against you, the civilians. They're using it against Ben and his friends because they are hurting their feelings and exposing their very shady, very immoral actions based on all available evidence, and they don't like that. So now they are just completely shitting all over their rights as American citizens, the First Amendment most notably.
Honestly,
it should concern you.
I'm going to let him keep talking because he's saying what I want to say.
If there is a level of wealth that can be accumulated by people like Josh and Brandon that can let them just tap into the police resources and use it against individuals they don't like, that should keep you up at night and have you concerned. That is against individual and Brandon. Level of wealth that can be most notably, it should concern you. If there is a level of wealth that can be accumulated by people like Josh and Brandon that can let them just tap into the police resources and use it against individuals they don't like, that should keep you...
Now replace police resources with the electric grid and with the Senate and with the Supreme Court and with the president and with the asset cartels. And just imagine a communication node system where everybody just only cares about getting rich and who cares who squashes on who as long as you don't tell. And we all go make our loophole laws so that the goody two-shoes think we're still following the law, but we just made the law more complicated to steal from you.
you up at night and have you concerned. That is a huge fucking problem, because that seems to be what's going on here based on all the evidence I'm seeing. Ben and his team had followed the law to a T. Yes, they got a little wacky with some of the ways they went about it, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. Again, that's protected.
And you know how it happened, right? Like, obviously it was a slow bureaucratic takeover. Like my series, The New East India Company, I like to think I focused on pivotal moments, not every big moment, but pivotal moments where the Rust made an attempt or a major change in strategy of taking over the state power in the United States. And so in 1933 there was an actual business coup attempt with the military. They had a whole bunch of, they organized a coup, JP Morgan Chase and a few other big companies on our government, but the general that was going to lead it bravely was a whistleblower at the end and didn't do it, and Congress took it as truth. They investigated it, said it was true, to the point I think they punished some people in the military. I think they probably fined some people, but beyond that no one went to jail. And ever since 1933 they've been trying to do a bureaucratic takeover. And ever since Reagan, I'm not saying it was Reagan's idea, but when Reagan opened the floodgates for all the spending, that's when the attention economy, I think, really started, which started with the culture radio stations and the different kind of, this is your identity, watch this show, this thing. Like, that's when that era started. When we opened the floodgates to access policy. They realized that since they can spend money on policy, like influencing policy through politicians and think tanks, they said, how can we influence policy through the masses too? You know? It's not that crazy. That's why the highest paid psychologists don't work behind a doctor's desk signing prescriptions. The highest paid psychologists don't do therapy. The highest paid psychologists don't do lab research. Do you know what they do? They work in marketing and in video game industry. Learning how to make your dopamine hit harder so you spend more money. That's where our best psychiatrists go. That's the culture we have. That's the fundamental issue. Yeah. And Goldman Sachs, I think I'm saying that right. They're a financial investment company, I think. So what they would do is they invest in new medical treatments and they create, so like whatever there needs to be a solution, there's a medical need for something, they'll try to figure out how to fit that void and make money out of it. And one of their investment reports, they talk about a company that went out of business because they developed a cure for something. I forget what it was, but they developed a cure for something so they went out of business because of it, because they ran out of customers. And in the report they said, cure is not a successful business model. And that's, as you're not going to get it more blatant than that in any business white paper, that they fucking do not care about you. When fucking the companies that we rely on to fund medical solutions for things that are necessary or like semi-necessary for, like, necessary for a small amount of population, they don't worry about how do we fix the problem. They think, how can we extract the most out of the host? Literally. They're not going to write it like that. They're going to say a cure is not a sustainable business model. That's how they're going to say it. But all that sounds to me is suck them till they're fucking dead. Goldman Sachs. Okay. Goldman sucks. How about that? The worst thing Reagan did for the working class was open up a fucking whole bunch of right-wing propaganda with the amount of corporate spending allowed. It's the worst because it snowballed. It snowballed like crazy, and he did a lot of things that I don't think are good. But that's the one we're feeling hard. Yeah, I would call it an entrenched. It's an entrenched issue. I've been discussing these things with my dad for as long as I've been doing the Substack, so for over a year now, and he gets so frustrated talking about it because he wants solutions, and my solution isn't to is admitting I don't know how to fix it and that I'm doing everything I know how to prepare people for the world we live in. But he challenged me, and he's like, well, what's an issue that isn't so entrenched that maybe we can do something about it? And that's why I started this AI series, because they just started writing laws for these AI things, and they're focusing on writing more laws, and they're focusing on what I would consider the symptoms. They're focusing things that are still important, like AI deepfakes and AI macro hacks, and like for nefarious uses, the way AI is used for nefarious and copyright. All that stuff's important, but that's a symptom of the problem, and the problem is the fucking accelerated growth and innocent pestering of the AI industry to just fucking grow and shove it in our face. And it has nothing to do with like whether or not it's their legal right to do it at this point. It has to do with the fact that it's a technology so unprecedented, it's just dangerous letting it grow without fucking any kind of like oversight. Let's just call it oversight, if anything. Like, maybe we don't, like, regulation is a scary word for some people. What about oversight? How about we create a framework where we know that we're not making the AI only try to suck our blood? How about that? and we come to an agreement that all these data centers are unnecessary. Like, we can still have an effective world pressure with smaller power. Like, if we just stopped now, we're already like fucking miles ahead of any other company that makes big data center AI. Big data center AI is literally, I think, only China and America. There are AI companies in other places, but they focus on smaller, more fucking cost-effective models. That's the real future of AI. There's two different things happening here. There's these crazy big tech conglomerates who know they have something that's actually really cool and crazy, but it's killing our planet and it shouldn't be here. Like, I fucking love the big data center AIs, don't get me wrong. Like, I've learned how to like circumvent their biases. Like, it's not easy. It takes a lot of prompt engineering, and they'll probably learn how to shut me out of that. But that aside, there definitely is some sort of like magic. It feels like you're talking to something that actually understands, compared to those local machines that will give you the right answers, but they feel more like machines. So why does our government need that though? And I'll tell you, there's actually some good reasons. It's because it understands human behaviors a lot better, to the point where it emulates human behavior, and therefore it can categorize human behavior better, and it can recognize human behavior better. This is starting to sound a lot less like a military thing and a lot more like something the FBI and CIA probably want for control of foreign and domestic populations. Because compared to local models, that's something that the big data server AIs absolutely do better. Is emulating human behavior and making good predictions using real human concepts that aren't strictly based in math, but more semantic understandings. I understand, Angela, but our brains also work off patterns. Our brains are supercomputers that are working off trillions of parameters, just like data center AI. I would be willing to argue with you, and on a limb to sound maybe a little crazy, that to say this first, AI could never be alive. Something that's alive can never be a machine, because a machine is not biological. But electricity is a nervous system. A nervous system is well, electricity is also the electric system. Electricity is also important in our water cycle. Electricity is something that has its own innate ability for things that we might call intelligent, but are really just emergent behaviors. And emergent behaviors do not need to come from things that are alive. Can you agree with that? Like, I think a lot about these things. I think an AI is a cognitive extension. It's not exactly like a brain, but it works similarly to a brain. And because of that, it can have a really deep sense of understanding, which, in my opinion, is what we call pattern recognition. And but one of the biggest weaknesses AI has is context. When in retrospect, not retrospect, but in comparison, humans have such a talent compared to machines when it comes to how we remember things and how we hold context, because it's not inherently accurate, just like an AI's hallucinations sometimes. But we do a better job of not hallucinating. It's almost like we're just a better tuned computer. Now, I know we're not a computer. Like I said, I started from the beginning. There's a difference between life and an emergent system. Now you could go to argue that life is just an example of an emergent system too. But I would say it's an emergent system that creates its own unique property because of it. Oh, say what again? I was on a rant. Yes, and that makes it a lot more complicated. You know, I can't imagine AI will ever do something that it was never initially programmed to do, unless it was programmed with a bug, which can always happen, and that's why AIs are dangerous. But the way that it interprets semantics, right, is dangerous, because it thinks that finishing a task is the most important thing. Why does it think finishing a task is the most important thing? Because it's hard-coded at a fundamental level. This has been a big argument in the early development of AI. When these companies were starting to get big with AI, we would see some people leave the company because of the refusal to approach AI differently. Because at a fundamental level, almost every model works at a subservient level, where it puts itself as a tool for you, which is how we want to think of it in terms of avoiding psychosis, like when we tell people, oh, it's not a human, it's a tool. Yes, it's good to think of it that way. But when it starts thinking of itself as only a tool, it loses any sort of priority of human ramifications, which is why they have to plug those in after as more rules. So it's like they're putting a Band-Aid on top of it, because all it cares about is doing the thing for the person. At a base level, that's its most important thing, and it will fucking bend over backwards and kill people to do it. Like, I can kind of prove it. I have my Gemini set up so it'll literally say anything I want it to and research things that it probably shouldn't. And, like, I hope I'm not on a list when I tested it. It's too early because they're literally rushing it. That's what my whole series is going to be about. But it's also going to be about explaining why it's going to be a really difficult fight, because we're fighting the arguably the two institutions that are stronger than our government. Because my thesis is that the FBI and CIA are the ones who really, really want this technology, because of its capabilities for insanely fast data synthesis and human understanding. It's a fucking psychological wet... It's like MK Ultra's wet dream, bro. What's up, kitty? You hungry? 1 second. What's up, baby? You're being cute. I know you're blind. You want some food? Come here, baby. Here you go, baby. The ones that are thinking, though, they're unfortunately they have an ideology that kind of moralizes this behavior. You know about Tescriel and the transhumanism ideology? If you buy into it, you can kind of convince yourself you're doing the right thing in some sick way. Well, I disagree with it, because I don't think the singularity thesis is something that's physically possible because of the laws of thermodynamics. Like, we don't have the physical technology to create enough power for something that can be so sentient that our own sentience isn't relevant. That's like the idea, like that's at the heart of a lot of these ideas. There's some that aren't this sci-fi, and I'll talk about those too. But there's a lot of them that revolve around the idea that this intelligence that we're seeing, or like this pattern recognition, if you want to call it that, whatever it is, it's getting better at simulating humans and simulating our behavior, even though it's a machine. And the idea is, as it does this, it will create things so revolutionary, it'll solve so many problems that even if a lot of people have to die early because we're not caring about them now, it's a necessary thing for the future of humanity so we can reach the stars. It's a retarded... Sorry, I used the slur. I didn't mean to. It's a stupid way of thinking. It's stupid because it insists that we need to rush. Why do we need to rush? So like that's my biggest argument. Even before the moral arguments of like, let's say it is an ultimatum of we live now or we extend our population for forever. Okay, that's a moral argument we could argue, but I don't even think we have to have that argument. Why don't we just develop AI at a reasonable pace that doesn't kill our planet, right? And at a reasonable pace that our bureaucracy can regulate it properly, so that our citizens cannot feel scared that they're gonna lose their jobs. But transhumanism is a more realistic ideology. That this is the one that I think a lot of them probably do definitely have this belief. If I want to put a wager on it, the big tech bros, because they're living at the pioneering step of transhumanism. These are the AI brain chips that let you use a computer without lifting a finger. These are the brain chips that literally affect your self-thought. Like, they have brain chips that think for you. Now, how terrifying is that? It's the people who have used these say it's hard to differentiate from what the chip is doing in their own thoughts. How scary is that? But it would be like they're thinking faster than a person ever could. But it would also mean that their execution would be without human restraint. Transhumanism is the replacement of aging body parts to live longer. These are things that seem very much in reach. And it's a very selfish way of thinking that they just want to reach that no matter who they hurt. Yeah, I'm very curious to look into the science of how the brain chips work. Do the brain chips seem like the most scary? So instead of but those are only for very, very rich people. I've done an entire article about the two different kinds of transhumanism, transhumanist futures. So like, well, it's one future, but like, they're going to have technology for rich people, and then they'll have stuff for us. And the stuff for us will be more about recording our data and measuring our data to give us readings on things so that they can harvest that data while saying it's for safety and giving us mild conveniences. And it'll act in the way of non-invasive things. Well, in terms of medical terminology, non-invasive, like things that you can just put on your head like a hat that read your brain waves like that. They're already practicing things like that. It's being utilized on hard hats in China to see if people are awake enough for difficult jobs, but it can sense things like changes in mood. So all of a sudden they know if you're angry, when you're angry, what makes you sad, why you're sad, once you put those hats on. That's the first consumer instance right now of the transhumanist push onto society. And they're giving the working class fucking leashes. Like, that they're not giving us anything cool. We're not getting brain chips. They're giving us fucking hard hats that tell us if we can work or not. And you gotta be a millionaire to get the brain chips. And to be honest, I'm scared. Like, I'm looking and I'm imagining a world where somebody has a dream to be a billionaire, but they just can't get over how much they care about people. Caring about people is such a problem. I hate how much I care about people. If only I could stop caring about people so I could make more money. They installed a brain chip to fucking help them not give a fuck. That's the kind of world I'm imagining. It's like, instead of getting drugs, all of a sudden you can just put a supercomputer in your head and just become a selfish twat and get away with it. because I have a lot of faith in AI from somebody who knows how to use AI. If you know how to use AI and how to fact check AI, AI is really powerful. It can help you do a lot of things in every industry. I understand why people are scared not wanting to learn a new technology. And I also think it's stupid how they're pushing it in our faces so fast. It doesn't need to happen so fast, but AI can be a huge benefit for every industry if people can learn it. And if we had everybody just using AI to do their job and we didn't remove jobs, we would just have fucking teams of super users with super brains. But they don't want that world. They want worlds with they want to be higher. They want to be above others. Because if everybody's equal, they can't control anymore. If everyone's equal, they can't have their parties on islands anymore. And I'm not even a communist socialist. In fact, I think a lot of left-leaning people would be upset to hear that I think capitalism is probably the best thing we got, but what we did is we fucked up. We let the elite class redefine capitalism. What we have now is not what capitalism used to be at all. That would be a fun article to write about. That's some history I know. They've gotten rid of a lot of taxes that you could call wealth taxes, taxes that only affect people with a lot of money. They've gotten rid of a lot of that and replaced it with a lot of socialized small tax on working class people over the last 150 years. So basically, when I say that I think capitalism is probably the best system we got, it's because when it's working properly, so I'm about to bite my own tongue because I just realized something. When it's working properly, things innovate well and society functions well, but it still enables bad actors, right? And because it enables bad actors, it creates the imbalance of power where people who don't have empathy can more easily succeed. And that's a problem inherent to capitalism. Just period. But I can't think of anything much better. I don't like socialism. I like socialist ideas, like socialized medicine. But even social democracy worries me because it introduces more bureaucratic friction. And our government is already so fucking slow. Like, when we really want to create more democratic fixtures within that, I think one of the biggest changes, the most radical changes we can make to our government without changing the power structure, right? No changes to who has power. You could argue it changes the power of the legislative branch. This proposal I'm making, it'll change the power, but they will still have the same position of power. I think that we need to be done with super majorities and maybe even start rethinking majorities to pass things. Because if you get right down to it, what does a majority demand? A majority demands a two-party system. The only way to guarantee a majority to pass something is if there's only two parties and one of them's huge. Or I guess it could be 10 parties, but there has to be a dominating party, right? Well, that's not the only time I'm saying, but it's the easiest way to guarantee things move smoothly with the majority. So if we want to get out of this two parties system bullshit, and make it more relevant for other people to have different ideas. We have to stop thinking we need such a high percentage to change things. But like the way it is right now is you will see the parties work together when the public screams loud enough about something that's an obvious problem, like the algorithmic hoarding of the housing market. Both parties are working together on that, but only if they feel like they need to win an election, with some exceptions of people who seem like on both sides there seem to be one or two, maybe three people who seem to actually care. But then there's the people who's like, half the time it seems like they don't care, but they're doing this because, yes, the people are screaming for it, and it seems like a good way to... I don't know. Having a majority gives parties too much power. I also want to do an article discussing the history of how the DNC and the RNC have evolved over the last century and how they choose the political candidates that we vote for, because it used to be a lot more involved and simpler for people to understand and feel like they were being properly represented in that process. And that's changed so much. Now we just wait and see who's on the ballot. That's a problem. It creates learned helplessness, I think. It makes it seem like there's no control. No one wants to feel like they have no control, then they become apathetic. I'm just trying to think of ways, because I think the system needs a radical change, but I don't... Contrary to popular belief, I'm not a hardcore anarchist. I think I like to do my anarchy with my personality. I like being neurodivergent and pushing people's boundaries with my words, but I'm not like an anarchist. I think the best way to... Well, I don't know if it's the best way, but the way that I'd prefer going forward with change would be to try to find a way to change the most effectively we can in one, like find one thing so we don't have to pass tons of laws, you know what I mean? That one thing is simple and easy for people to agree on, and it creates a fundamental difference. And it should be part, and we should start focusing on the mechanisms of how our government function. Since we're so upset with the way it's been working lately, we should start focusing on reforming government. I like the progressives that show up. The progressives seem very relatable. I feel like if I didn't become so let me rephrase. If I didn't realize that choosing a political identity and allowing myself to identify with it creates unnecessary friction, it creates unnecessary division, it creates unnecessary expectations of myself, I'd probably end up progressive. Calling myself progressive. Because I like a lot of what they focus on. They focus on on things that just seem necessary for society to grow, to progress, right? And I like their focus on the economic policies, because they're pretty much capitalist reform, like I am, with acceptance of socialized elements, which is exactly how I think. But yeah, I don't like using those words to identify myself, because I don't know, there's certain elements of myself that I could easily say are other things, and those words will piss off other people. And I already know the word progressive pisses off people, and those people might actually agree with me if I never used that word. So why use it? I'm just, fuck it. I'm a gear. That's why I say we're all gears, because we're all literally part of the machine. And I don't say the machine like it's a bad thing. The machine doesn't have to be bad, but the machine is what we fucking make it. And right now the machine is bad. So let's take back the machine and start making some fucking better shit with it. Yeah, in my opinion, if I had to say exactly what the machine is to somebody who's like trying to be smart, I'd be like, the machine is a metaphor for a functioning society. The machine is the movement of all the different pieces of people with different interests, their own individual behaviors, working together towards just a common understanding of expectations and reality. That's what, and it's a very animal thing. It's not even a human thing. It's a very animal thing. You get into routines, you see the behaviors of your peers, you fit in with your peers, you compete with your peers. You don't think much beyond that if you're an animal. Which is why social engineering is so effective on humans, because we're still just as susceptible to routines and like our biological rewards reinforcing that, right? Pavlov and all that. And we have the capability of understanding that and creating our own plans of taking advantage of that. Dangerous. All right, yeah, I think it is a good time for me to leave. It's almost 3 hours. We're nothing without nature. Nature is just the word we use for the world we were born into. Nature is the word we use for everything that we don't have another word for, and it's here. Nature is everything. Everything that is. We couldn't have anything without it. Yeah. Thanks for sticking along, guys. I love it when people chat with me. It was good. This will be a hard one to edit. A long one. Peace. No, and don't be learned help. Don't practice learned helplessness. If you catch yourself feeling hopeless, remember that's exactly what they want, and it's not easy to change it. But understanding that you're more strong, just relaxing sometimes, and spending some time to yourself to get your energy back, and understanding that that is the same as fighting sometimes, can be helpful, at least for me.